to another episode of the Feminine Critique. I'm Emily.
I am Christine.
And on this episode, what are we doing, Christine?
We're talking about stuff we've been watching. You know, a catch-up show.
It's a catch-up show. I wish I had music for actually, no, I did. I found a song that was somewhere, and it was all about ketchup, like the actual condiment. And I used it once or twice, so I feel like that should just be the official opening whenever we do a ketchup show.
Okay.
Done. Noted. Let me make a note of that and actually remember. We'll see. As is the case, we have movies and TV we've been watching. I have a weird mix this time for a lot of different reasons. You have primarily horror, but some other stuff mixed in. Am I right about that?
Yep, that's accurate.
All right. So why don't we start with the non-horror stuff and go from there. Do you have any television?
I finished Riverdale.
Ah, okay. What is your overall verdict of the 9,000 episode Riverdale?
I would say my overall assessment is it has declining quality from season 1 on. Season 1 is good. Season 2 is great. Season 3 is even better. 4 is good. And then it's like we start to fall off a cliff. The final season was so disappointing.
Oh.
In like a really strange way. But I'm glad I watched it. It'll be a show that I think about or characters I reference. But I'm super glad I didn't watch it live because I think it would have driven me off the edge.
Yeah. It's how long were the seasons themselves? Are they like 20 episode seasons?
The majority of them were 22.
Wow. It's crazy that still happens in this day and age.
Yeah, it wasn't when that got canceled. Something else just got canceled or ended where people were like, "Well, that's it. That's it for the 22."
Yeah, never again.
Like, it is a lot because, well, Riverdale isn't necessarily like super guilty of this. When you have a 22 episode season, it's easy to start getting like
repetitious.
And like kind of like throwaway episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a fan of that. Like, if you don't need the full 22 episodes to tell the story, then like, I don't know. There were a couple times where I was like, boy, we could have just shaved like the whole first half of the season out of here.
I think the biggest problem on a lot of shows that followed that 22 episode plus format, it was the subplot issues, right? There was always, again, I've never been in a writer's room. I don't know exactly how it works, but you sit out and you're plotting the season. And within that, you're, filling out what the episodes are going to be and everything. And I feel like whenever I watch an older show, at this point, it's usually older shows that had that format, that's where you start to see it, where it's the side character that had this thing that just never came back again, that never got resolved. And you don't have time to do that when you're doing an 8-episode season or a 10-episode season. And it's one of those things like, on one hand, it was probably great for a lot of actors and a lot of guest stars and everything else, but it also usually doesn't serve things. Pretty Little Liars, I think, is a great example of that, of how many things that just didn't need to be there that just further complicated the narrative. And Riverdale definitely had its fair share of things that never really panned out or things we never went back to and things we just left dangling. There's a couple time jumps too. That's not a spoiler. It's a show it just ended. There's a couple time jumps where you're like, no, why? Because you time jump, you just abandoned everything you were just doing. Right, which just makes you feel angry for having, well, I gave this my time, but now you don't, as a showrunner, feel I deserved a resolution.
Yeah, it overall a little disappointing, but I don't regret doing it.
Okay, nice.
So that was pretty much it for TV for me.
Well, that's a lot. It's 22 times 5 or 6, whatever that number is. Jesus.
Seven seasons.
Oh, yeah. My gosh. Yeah. We're going to die one day, Christine. That's a lot of TV.
But I thought it was worth it.
Okay, that's important.
I don't watch it. We don't talk about a lot of TV. I don't watch a ton of TV. So like, it was actually kind of nice to like go feel like I was living back in the halcyon days of 22 episode seasons like Lost, where I could just kind of disappear into a show for a month and then be like, okay, now what?
Well, and I feel like I'm going to have that problem now. I'm trying to figure out what my next show is, because I typically have, I would say I probably watch like 3 shows at once in different ways. There is the show that I'll watch with Brannon, which is usually both a comedy and a drama, where it's okay, we sit down for dinner and we're going to turn on Only Murders in the Building, or an episode of The Wire, or wherever we're at in that.
Yeah.
There's the shows that I'm going to watch myself, but I'm going to sit down and watch them. So usually those are my morning viewing. And then there's the background show that is while I'm cooking or while I'm doing other things, but at least I can always, without having to think of what am I going to watch, I can pull up, great, Top Chef. Okay. And Top Chef was great because there were like 20 seasons and I never watched any of it. But now I'm at the last season I didn't watch and I'm like, oh shit, what do I do when I finish the season? I need a new filler TV show. So there's that. The other show that I was like I am watching this show right now. I'm really intrigued that I don't think you've watched this because I'd be very curious what you think. Okay. And it's Hulu's The Bear.
Oh, I watched the first season.
So what did you think?
It gave me incredible anxiety. It was deeply unpleasant for me, and that's one of the reasons why we kind of failed. Yeah. Because I don't even know that we finished the first season. There's a couple scenes where I lived it.
I bet, yeah.
It's too much because the business that he works at is very fast casual, and when I worked at the hot dog restaurant, it very much felt like that. So to say it was triggering is a little bold and big, but like it definitely made me feel uncomfortable.
No, I get that. I watched it because everybody's been raving about it, right? And I will say I kind of hated the first season. I almost gave up on it. The only reason I didn't was because enough people, and not just critics, but friends of mine who were like, no, please keep going, give season 2 a shot. And it really did, there was a moment that kind of where it kind of stopped and clicked for me of okay, this isn't just unpleasant people screaming at each other in a scenario I don't want to watch, which is to me what season 1 felt like the entire time.
Interesting.
It does turn a corner. Season 2 is a little more controlled. A friend of mine made a really great point because I'm like, I don't like these people. They're all pretty much awful and they just yell at each other. Why should I go on their journey? And I had a friend who said understand, be aware that characters grow. You will see characters grow as people. And you do. You really do in a kind of thoughtful, very kind of zen way. So it's tough. I was feeling season 2, I was into it, and then there's the episode that everybody is raving about that kind of, for me, was a little bit of where my anxiety kicked in, which is the Christmas episode, where it's Jamie Lee Curtis is there, and Bob Odenkirk. It's a great episode, it's great actors, but it's just a family, a big family screaming at each other. And, I have a big family, and we occasionally scream at each other. We talk loud, our family dinners tend to be a lot of chaos, and that's where I was suddenly oh, now I see myself here, and I don't really like this. But okay, and it took me 3 watches to get through that episode. But then again, the next episode was this really, beautiful piece of television. So, I don't know, I don't know how hard I recommend it to anybody, because I think, it's been pretty recommended. It has 30 Emmy nominations. People are aware that this is good television. It's complicated television, and by season 2 there are episodes that are genuinely pleasant to watch, I'd say. But it's a tough thing to do to yourself.
Yeah, I think we have every intention of going back to it. It's just it was a lot because I watched it when it first came out, and for me that still felt like pretty deep pandemic time. Yeah. And it really just amplified anxious feelings that I was already having.
Oh, completely. Yeah. I can fully see that. And again, it's interesting to me because I've never worked in a restaurant. My food service was Chuck E. Cheese. It's not that scenario at all. So that stuff, when people talk about I think it's season 1. I don't know if you got to the episode where the ticket machine is going out of whack.
Yes, I still think about it.
Yeah,
I still think about that because I lived it. It's fucking awful.
And that didn't bother me at all because I'm I don't know, they'll figure it out. But then season 2, when the family is screaming, when it's all how do we not have our brothers fight? What do I have to say to not let this happen? That's where it got me. So no matter who you are, it'll probably trigger anxiety for you. So the show that we are, because we finished The Wire, which for me, I'd watched it several times. It was just a new watch for Brannon. And I will say, this is probably my like third or fourth watch through it. Season 5 is worse than I remember, but season 4 is better than I remember. So, yeah.
I still need to watch it. I think that if I said, hey, Zach, let's watch this, he would say yes, because it's one of his favorite television shows.
It's great TV. It really is great TV. And it holds up. It's, again, just the sheer amount of actors and where they are now is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But it is a good watch. And seasons 3 and 4 to me are outstanding. Season 5, this go around, I thought came off worse than I remembered it coming off. But it's still ultimately a satisfying show. So then we had to follow that up with like, okay, so what's our new hour-long drama at night? And I don't know if you're aware of this, but we are a very hip and modern couple who
of course
are what you'd call trendsetters in a lot of ways.
Yep.
So therefore, we are currently on the Kolchak Night Stalker train.
Fun.
Did you ever watch it?
Watch that.
Yeah.
My mom did. Yeah.
Everybody's mom watched it.
Yeah. I don't remember it really. I don't really even know what the tone of it is.
Weird. The tone is very weird. So there were 2 made-for-TV movies. Dan Curtis produced the first, or wrote the first one, and then directed the second one. So it's got like that Dan Curtis feel, which is pretty cool. The tone is kind of like there is some. And the second movie takes place in Seattle.
Oh, fun!
Yeah. The first one is in, I forget, LA maybe, or Vegas. I think it's Vegas, and then Seattle, and then the show is in Chicago, but also moves around. So
cool.
It's very like it's Monster of the Week. The tone, it's funny. It's definitely, there are a lot of things played for laughs, but it's also like kind of scary at times. So it's interesting. I was getting like the first episode felt to me a little bit repetitive of, oh no, is this going to be the same thing every week? Because the first 2 movies are kind of similar in the first episode, but then the last 2 episodes were a little more, were different. So I was like, okay, no, they're finding, and again, I think it was only 1 season, but it's a lot of different things going on, a lot of before they were famous older people showing up. The other show that like is our kind of comfort, like soft watch, is the Mary Tyler Moore Show. So one thing I'm learning.
I think I saw that you were watching that.
It's a delight. It really is a delight. It's very funny though, because watching so much TV from the 70s makes me realize how different our definitions of fat were. Because it's like thrown around as a joke constantly in Kolchak and Mary Tyler Moore. And those women are not fat.
No.
And as much as we can say we were bad in the 90s, no, we were worse in the 70s. So take that, what you will.
Honestly though, I guess there is something to take away from that then, because I feel like we're cycling back to it. So maybe it won't be as bad as it was in the 90s this time. Maybe we're just incrementally improving how awful it is each time.
Each time. Just a little bit. By the time we're in our 90s, we'll feel good about our bodies.
What a bummer.
Indeed. So the other thing that is not a bummer, we've been doing, so with like some of the Netflix news and just the streaming news,
I have a question for you after you finish this thought though.
Yes, I'm still getting Netflix discs, if that's your question.
Well, I had heard that they let you keep them, that they were just letting you keep whatever you wanted.
Well, so see, I don't see how that would work, because then they're not going to keep sending me them. If I don't send my disc back, I don't get the next one. I think at the end, what they're doing is, like the last day of Netflix, they're just sending you a batch of DVDs. Supposedly from your queue, but I have no idea. I'm going to open up and have like 10 Bratz movies. I know it.
Please let me know.
Oh, yeah. No. I will document what I get. Don't you worry.
I'm so invested in this. Okay, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, that's okay. No, it's all connected, because basically, like, Brennan made a very good point, which is like, DVDs are not going to be produced anymore in a lot of ways. And DVDs are very cheap right now. That's the other good thing. So he's been buying up a lot of like TV on DVD that otherwise might not be available. So he found for me, he's like, there is the complete Brady Bunch set, which is 30 discs. It includes the original show. It includes every spinoff, every movie. So the Brady Brides, the Brady Christmas, the animated series, like everything, including the theatrical movies, the 90s movies. The only thing that is not on this 30 disc collection is the Brady Bunch Variety Hour.
Okay.
So I came home one day, and because my husband loves me, I had a package, and I'm like, what's this? He's like, just open it. And it was the Brady Bunch Variety Hour. The Brady Bunch Variety Hour is, do you know about this?
I mean, I only know about it from jokes on other shows.
Yes, like replacing Jan. There's a great Simpsons behind the laughter episode of The Simpsons has a very, very funny parody of it. But yeah, it was 2 years after Brady Bunch had gone off the air. They reunited, except for Jan, for a variety hour. And it is the cheesiest thing you have ever seen in your life, and it's incredible, and it made me so happy.
I'm glad that you own it. Can I ask how much do you know, or would you care to share how much that gigantic 30 disc set?
Oh, the 30 disc set I think was $60.
Holy mackerel!
Yeah, for 30 discs.
That's something else, huh? Mm-hmm. We're in a real strange place with physical media.
Very much. And it's funny because our TV just died a few weeks ago, so we had to get a new one. And as we did, we're like, oh, it's 4K now, so now we should probably upgrade our DVD player, or our Blu-ray player, but wait, we also need to make sure it still plays all the other things, because we have, like, burned DVDs of things, and they're important stuff, because stuff goes away now, people.
No, I know. So we've actually been, maybe me more than Zach, so I shouldn't say we've actually been thinking about getting real into laser discs.
Ooh.
I've become a very strange physical media person in the last couple
clearly.
years. Where I guess I used to be like one of the people that saw the internet as like an infinite, unending way to access anything. I'm now truly feeling the opposite, the limitations of that, and like, okay, well, anything that I really care about, I should have my own access to it.
Agreed. I think that's absolutely accurate.
Yeah, I don't trust it anymore. It doesn't feel like it's going to be forever. At some point in my life, I felt like, oh yeah, the internet is truly forever. But now it's like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. It's even the same with, like, we have running lists of all these movies we want to watch and, all the different streaming sites. And every now and then we're like, yeah, let's watch that. I wanted to watch that. And we're like, oh, wait, we'd have to pay for it. I'm like, no. We don't pay for movies anymore. Like, we pay if we buy them or if we go out to see them. But the idea of paying to rent a movie feels so wrong when there are so many other movies that I have access to already.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. So I'll move over to comedy because it kind of segues right through, since I did get we have our Brady Bunch collection, and Brandon had mentioned he had never seen a Very Brady sequel, so we watched a Very Brady sequel.
I'm a big fan.
It's great.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as good as the Brady Bunch movie. I didn't laugh as much as I do when I watched the Brady Bunch movie, but a Very Brady sequel is good. It is fun. It is 90s. It is... That cast is so good. The girls are so good. I think they're the ones that really like elevate it. And and Gary Daniels, what's his name? Gary Cole.
Gary Cole.
Gary Cole. Yes, as Mike Brady is also just tremendous. It's so great. Will always make you happy.
I love those movies. So
yeah. Do you have other comedies?
I think I have a couple comedies.
Ooh,
is that your only one?
I have two others.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't have much to say about this because I didn't like it, but I watched Trolls World Tour. And
can I ask what prompted the decision to watch Trolls World Tour?
Well, my husband is an animator and a designer and an artist, and the art style of that movie is extremely interesting.
Okay.
It all looks like felted and and sewn, like very real, tangible, organic materials. So like, he has always been kind of taken by the design in it. And like, I, for one, have not had any interest, but I finally was like, okay, let's watch it. And it looked great. Like, I really enjoyed the way the characters looked. They were adorable, but like, it was, maybe it's for young kids younger than I realized. Like, we were watching it and I was like, is this for like 3 to 5 year olds? Because I couldn't. There
was nothing there for you.
Nothing at all.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there's that.
One of the comedies I watched was definitely not intended for 3 to 5 year olds. I had heard from many people that this was really worth watching, and I knew Brannon was a fan of Fletch, so we watched Confess Fletch with John Hamm.
I enjoyed it quite a bit when I watched it.
It's quite good. Yeah. John Hamm is so great. Marcia Gay Harden, great. It's funny. It's entertaining. It moves.
No, I completely agree. I thought it was enjoyable. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I have one.
Go for it.
I guess this is a comedy. I finally watched 1996's Barbed Wire.
I've never seen Barbed Wire.
It is not good. But it is. Everybody looks cool. It is so 90s. Yeah. Pam Anderson is the fucking best.
Aww.
She looks amazing. Every scene. The only reason towards the end I was like, oh, a new scene means she's gonna have different makeup on, and then I would wait. I would wait to see what cool makeup she had on or what her eyeshadow looked like. I was so completely out on it, but like for visually, like as just a time capsule of like style and styling. I thought it was great. I
always kind of wrap that in my head with Tank Girl.
Yeah, me too. Me too, totally. Tank Girl is far superior. Like oceans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on the Barb train, did you see the Barbie movie yet?
I did see the Barbie movie.
Okay. What'd you think of the Barbie movie?
Well...
You saw it late, right? I feel like you probably saw it fairly... It's been out now. I mean, not that long in terms of like our lifetime, but it's September. It came out in July. I feel like you probably saw it like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I think I saw
it after the hype machine, if you will.
Yeah, I saw it. No, I wouldn't say late, but definitely not early. I was not one of the first, so I saw it at the drive-in. So I temper my feelings with that. I was at the drive-in, there was a bit of an echo to the audio. So with that being said, I plan to rewatch it. I did not enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it that much. I liked the way it looked, and I giggled a couple times, and I really liked Michael Cera, but I guess I didn't feel like I was the audience for it.
I think because I loved it, but I would say it is, it's not my favorite Greta Gerwig, because I realized as I was kind of watching it, and then very quickly after, that I think the accomplishment she made is tremendous, because she has made what will likely be the biggest movie of the year. A movie that was, like you talk about, like the 4-quadrant movie and all that stuff. And I think that's what I found once after the experience of watching it, the more I was thinking through it, I was thinking about how, like, what she really did was how it was very much that kind of movie that was made for a very broad audience. And so there are some things that, like, all the Will Ferrell stuff to me was like, this is here for an audience that isn't me, except for the Proust joke. That made me laugh out loud. But for the most part, it was like every time it was going to do this thing, you could hear a lot of people laughing, but it was like, right, I didn't need this in my Barbie movie. Even the big speech, right, the big America Ferrera speech, felt to me like, okay, this is fine. Women are connecting to this like crazy. This to me is not the most nuanced way to say this, but I'm happy it's said in a way that did reach such a huge audience. So it felt kind of like my movie was like was in there in a different level. Like, I would love, like, if there was a way to do, like, the Argento cut, where it's like, okay, if I took out some of the kind of broader stuff and made just, like, the weird indie quirky movie, like, that might have been more for me. But I'm so happy it did so well. I think it will do, ideally, great things for Gerwig and for the movies, perhaps. I loved it, but I would not say it was perfect.
Yeah, anytime I say things about it or want to say things about it, I risk sounding like a type of person I don't really want to be. So like, it's not for me. I don't need a third grade level speech about feminism. Like, sure. But some people do, and that's super cool. And I'm really glad that they have that, but I don't. So like, I can't judge it on anything other than me. And that movie was just it didn't resonate. I didn't have a revelation. I got more emotional watching the trailer. But like other people are like dumping their boyfriends and like
great
and like fucking
awesome.
Walking out on toxic people in their life. And for that, I say good. I wish it had made $85 billion because
Yeah.
everybody should walk away from media with that life-changing experience, Like, that's so fucking awesome. But like, that speech to me was just pure cringe. It was so on the nose, and it was like, why is this happening to me? And then as it was happening, I was like, oh, Christine, this isn't for you. And I was like, that's cool.
And that's the thing.
It's happening.
Yeah, I think if you seeing that, because I got to see it in the theater, which was exciting. It was one of the second theater I've gone into or really like sat down and watched a movie. I was with Abby. It was great. The energy, like, I mean, it was a packed house on a Tuesday night. Like, that in itself was great. Little girls were wearing pink, older women were wearing pink. It was like one of these, like, oh, like, you can't not give in to that. It was so exciting to feel that. And even, like, for me, like, there were other moments even before that were really connecting to me. Like, I teared up at the old woman scene, like, really got me. Like, but there were, when that speech was happening, I could, like, feel the energy of the room, like, rip it, like loving it and getting it. And I was like, yeah, I don't need that. Like, that's more than yes, as you say, it is kind of third grade feminism. But a lot of people in the world never got third grade feminism. And I think it's amazing that it connected to them. So,
and again, I reserve the right because of the echo. I wonder if some of the jokes didn't time out for me properly.
Sure. Yeah.
Because we had our little radio, but then somebody way behind us had like a boombox, and it was causing this like really pronounced delay on some of the sound. And I think to myself, is that why I didn't think some of these things were as funny as other people did? Because people came away with like it was a rollicking good time, and I was like, well, I didn't necessarily feel that. So when I can watch it at home, like clearly see everything, clearly hear everything, that's when and plus my expectations will be tempered now.
Oh, sure.
So maybe I'll be in a place where I can freely enjoy what's there more instead of looking for other stuff, Yeah,
fair. I have 2 more comedy-ishes. What about you?
I have at least one.
All right, I'll throw I'll throw
I
one.
I don't know if I have anything else.
Well, because mine are... this one is a straight comedy, so I'm in a very odd one. Again, on Netflix, I am rapidly cycling through my discs, and I am trying to bump up all those movies that have been in my queue for 10 years, like the ones that I always meant to watch and just didn't. And a lot of that, there are also movies that are not easily accessible otherwise, so there are a lot of international films. So one that I don't remember when I put it on, but I know it was a long time ago, was the Japanese film Tampopo, 1986. Okay. Are you familiar with this? It's the ramen western, kind of.
By name, I am, but I've never seen it. This
is a fucking delight of a movie.
Ooh, fun.
It is so weird. The easy explanation of it is a woman who runs a noodle shop in Japan, and she is trying to make better noodles. That's the simple synopsis. But it is done sort of like a Western, where there's a truck driver who sort of kind of rolls into town and becomes like her mentor. There's all of these kind of little vignettes throughout of that are just different kind of set pieces of food comedy. It is a movie about food, which is something that I realize like I really love and really enjoy. And so it is very much a celebration of food. There are some crazy sex scenes involving food. It is bizarre. I was laughing so hard. It charmed me. It moved me. I cannot recommend this movie highly enough. I think it's on the Criterion, so it's probably accessible that way.
Okay, that's good. I was going to ask because you said it was a disc, right?
It was a disc. It was a Criterion disc that had like no features, so it was probably an older disc.
Yeah.
Might even be on HBO Max because some of that Criterion stuff is there. So it's not like impossible to find. It is. It exists out in the world, but I think you have to probably either have Criterion or HBO for it. But it is. I will watch it again at some point. I loved it. It's so bizarre. It is so made for me.
Sounds fun.
It'll make you hungry too.
I'm a fan of food in movies too. I think this is my last one. Vacation Friends 2.
It's very funny when that movie keeps popping up in commercials and Brandon looks at me, he's like, I did not know there was a Vacation Friends 1. And I'm like, I knew it existed. I did not see it. I did not know it was had such fanfare to merit a sequel. So tell me about the Vacation Friends franchise.
I liked the first one quite a bit. I thought it was really, really funny. And it's John Cena and Lil Rel and Meredith Hagner, I believe is how you say her name. So she's in Search Party,
Okay.
television program.
Oh, is she the blonde?
Yeah.
Oh, she's hysterical in Search Party.
Yes. So she's the whole reason I even watched the first Vacation Friends.
Understand.
And I gave that movie like 4 stars or something, maybe even 4.5. I thought it was so funny, and she's so good. So I was pretty excited for this one, and it didn't hit the same way. It didn't work for me the same way the first one did. And I'm not sure if it's just me or if it was the movie, but like I will highly recommend the first one. And if you like the first one, sure, watch this one. But I don't know if if you think that blonde woman is hysterical, then
Yeah.
I'd say go for it because she's great.
I haven't finished Search Party. I think I have to figure out where. I think it might have moved off HBO. I got to figure out where it is now.
Yeah.
But to me, she is the highlight of it. I find her hysterical.
Me too. I love her in that show. She's really like fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My last comedy question mark. It's another food movie. And I feel like it's a black. I think ultimately it's a black comedy. It is, even though it's on Shudder, so like you would think it's horror, but really it's not. It's Peter Strickland's Flux Gourmet.
Oh, I don't even know what that is.
Do you know Peter Strickland? He did In Fabric and Barbarian Sound Studio.
Yes.
Yeah,
Fully. Yep.
Yeah. So this is. I mean, what a weird guy, and like I say that with a smile. Like it is not serious. Like it feels immediately like, oh no, this is surreal and funny, and go with it, and it's okay to laugh. It's a band, and they're kind of performance artists whose thing is like doing sounds associated with food, and that doesn't make sense at all, and I'm not explaining it well, but it works. There's wild outfits. Gwendolyn Christie is in it, and she's just, every time she shows up, she's wearing something different and grand and wild. It's a lot of food and body stuff. I think I don't know if for you this would be like really kind of, how do I say it? Like comforting or really upsetting. Like we talked about like the bear being triggering in some aspects. Like This is a lot of like, your sort of entry into this is the guy whose job it is to sort of document what's happening, and he is having severe stomach problems. So a lot of the movie is him like narrating about how he's trying to stop his farts, and that is very funny. But it is also like handled with care, because there is like a big thing about that has to do with where things go. So I don't know, like I watched it knowing it wasn't going to be a like, let me sit down, turn out the lights. Like, no, I know this is going to be a weird thing that I'm going to have on and pause and get up and pause and get up. I will go back to it one of these days, because I think all of his stuff kind of merits that second view. It's a recommend. It's just like, I don't know what to tell you as far as what you're getting into. You're getting into some weird shit.
Yeah, weird shit can be okay. But like, yeah, sometimes the wrong or the right weird shit will make me go like, oh, I question all my life choices.
I don't think you will in this case. I think if anything, this will amuse you. It had, I know we talked about it recently. We talked about like Duel and The Lobster. Like, I feel like it kind of is on that rhythm of sort of this. I do
love that.
Yeah, it's like a black comedy that's surreal but handled very as if it's not strange at all. And there's something really appealing about that when it's done well. And it's like the same cast he's worked with in several movies now, so it feels like everybody is on the same wavelength. So like there's nothing that stands out as far as like, oh, this took me out of it. Like, no. Like you're in this weird ride and everybody's there with you.
Sounds good. I made a note.
Good. It's on Shudder. All right, those are my comedies. What genre should we move to next?
Do you have any like
drama?
Drama?
I have drama.
Should we do drama and thriller-ish together?
Yes, we should, because I have both of those for once. Okay. Give me your one of your dramas or thrillers.
Okay, well, this isn't a recommend. This is just, I want to say that I didn't like it. So my mom had recommended that I watch the movie called Secret in Their Eyes, which came out
with, I know this. I've heard this title. Is Secret or Secrets?
Secret.
In their eyes. In there. I can't remember how to spell there. Oh no, maybe I don't know this. Okay, Academy Award. Okay, no, I don't know this. Tell me more.
My mom was convinced I would like it. It's Nicole Kidman and Julia Roberts. And I really like Nicole. Like, I really like Nicole Kidman. My mom knows that. She's like, "Oh, I watched this movie. I think you'll like it." And I kind of looked at the synopsis and I was like, "Oh, murdered daughter, crimes. What? No, I don't want this." And she's like, "No, I promise you, it's very good."
And it just wasn't your thing?
No. My mom, there's a couple on here actually that my mom suggested that I really liked. So like, high five to her. But this one, she's just really off the mark. And I was mostly mentioning it because I was curious if you had seen it.
I had not. No, I'm looking through. Wow, look at that cast. Alfred Molina, Dean Norris, Chiwetel Ejiofor. That's ridiculous.
It's all there. Like, it feels like one of them big fat, like, early 2000s movies with like nice big sets, and like they're actually filming at Grand Central Station. Like, it felt kind of like that. There was the promise of like of something of yore, of olden times, and then I watched it and I was like, no, this isn't.
What's interesting, I'm looking, because what came up first was a different movie. I'm like, oh, I typed in the wrong movie. No, I think it's a remake of a Spanish language film. I don't know what country, which makes me think, like, I feel like that always happens with like Vanilla Sky. That happened, like when like, oh, this was a great movie that just wasn't in our language, so let's make it for an American audience, and something gets lost along the way quite often.
I wish, but I found that out after I watched this too. I didn't really look into it until after, and then I was like, oh, there's an original version. Well, I should have just watched that then. Not to say that Hollywood versions of things are inherently bad, but I don't know. This was from 2015, and I don't feel confident about.
Well, the fact that it's Nicole Kidman and Julia Roberts in a movie together, and I didn't know that existed, like that kind of tells you something didn't fully connect.
Yeah, it was a little disappointing.
All right, so on the topic of Americans remaking foreign films in their language, I'm going to go the reverse route, because I watched a Russian film that is based on a American story. So this, again, was a movie that was like on my radar for years and on my Netflix queue for years, and finally decided to watch it. This is 2006, I think, 12, which is a Russian retelling of 12 Angry Men.
Oh, fun!
Yeah. I really liked it until the last minute. I actually had a huge issue with the ending because I thought that just didn't make sense for the integrity of the film. But it's cool. I mean, 12 Angry Men is so good. You've seen 12 Angry Men, right?
12 Angry Men is one of my favorite movies.
I thought you were one of those people that like used to watch it all the time.
Yeah, for sure. It was one of my favorite movies as a kid. I don't know, I was weird.
It's so good, no, but it's so good. Like, and it's a great, like, yeah, it's great bones of something. And so this is a completely Russian movie. It is a similar thing of a foreign, in this case, it's a foreigner, it's a Chechenian, is accused of murder, and here's the jury, and it's all men, and they're all Russian men from various backgrounds, and they're, stuck debating it. And it's very long. It's like 240, I think. And it moves really, like, I didn't feel the length at all. Like, I knew sitting down, I'm like, we might not get through this all tonight. We might have to, like, stop it and go to bed. But I was, like, riveted. I was not going to stop it. Great acting, just really an interesting way of doing it. I just had a problem with the very, very ending. I thought, like, you've told this very interesting Russian story where even after you get, like, around the bend of people making the right decision, then there's this question of what is the right decision, which was so thoughtful, and then it sort of ends with this kind of tacked on coda that to me felt so tonally ill-fitting. But it's totally worth it for 2 hours and 40 minutes, so I recommend it. I watched it as a Netflix disc. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere, but put it on your radar. It could be on Canopy or something. It
might be. I can maybe check. That feels like the type of thing that I could rent at the video store.
Oh, definitely.
That like feels like that level.
Yeah, I think it was Academy Award nominated. Like, I feel like it had as much success as a Russian film would have had at that time. So,
That was a good
thank you.
suggestion.
Thank you.
So I found a movie in one of my favorite genres, which is desert, road trip, truck, like your breakdowns,
And it's hot and you ran out of
duels.
water. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So from 2002, this movie is called Disappearance. And it stars Harry Hamlin and Susan Day.
Ooh. You, as somebody who came of age with Clash of the Titans, I will never turn down a Harry Hamlin appearance.
It is a soft recommend. I believe it's on Tubi. It's not that good, but if you like that scene where somebody finds like a ravine full of abandoned old cars,
You know I do.
then you should watch it because
Okay.
it does the things I like in those movies, but it just doesn't do them like super well or super efficiently. But it's still that kind of movie. Plus Susan Day is in it. I mean, come on.
And Harry Hamlin.
Yeah, Harry Hamlin's really fun to watch in it, I will say.
Nice, nice. Okay, I'll add it to my long queue.
A lot of mine are Tubi this time. I really dug in.
Interesting. Let's see, the last of my dramas. Another Netflix disc rental, and it reminded me, like, my gosh, how do I keep forgetting that, what is his first name? Kurosawa, but not that one. The other Kurosawa, who did Pulse and Cure.
Oh,
I know. Kiyoshi Kurosawa.
Yep, there it is.
Right. How do I forget?
Only think of Akira.
Exactly. And I always want to say, like, no, the other one. I forget that every time I watch one of his movies, I am just like dumbstruck by how good they are. So Tokyo Sonata from early 2000s is not a horror film. It's the first of his films that I've seen that is not a horror film, but it is not like, it's a drama, but it's kind of like, I thought it was going to like Michael Haneke Seventh Continent territory because it feels like that. It's very tense. Just this regular suburban family. The dad works a very kind of bureaucratic job. He loses his job and sort of, but can't admit that he did. So he keeps like putting on a suit and going out, and slowly like his entire family unit starts collapsing. This is strange. It is haunting. It is, I thought it was going to be very depressing. It's not. It's actually, there's a lot of uplifting aspects to it.
Fun.
It is riveting. So again, I think this is also Criterion. It is, so it's out the same places. Very, very powerful watch.
You're a fan of Pulse, right?
Like, I love Pulse. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to watch that. I need to put that on my list because yes, I need to delve more into this person's filmography. Clearly,
I think it's funny because I've been debating, like, I've been itching to rewatch Pulse, and I've been debating whether I want to watch it with my husband, because I think the other aspect of Pulse, I feel like that's a movie that I think every couple of years I go back to it. And the first time I watched it, that was one of those movies that to me was one of the scariest first time watches.
Yeah, you did say that.
The second time didn't hit me the same way. But I remember watching it the second time and then like realizing I was having nightmares a few days later. And I think that is a movie that was probably a very hard movie during heights of COVID to watch, or during heights of lockdown, I should say. Because I think the aspect of like loneliness and connection, and there's stuff to that probably really hit if all of that was hitting you at the same time. Yeah. So I want to watch it, but I'm like, I don't know, is it too dark to watch anytime soon? And Cure is also fantastic.
That's why I hadn't watched the original Pulse, because I watched the Kristen Bell remake, and it's almost incomprehensible.
It's like terrible, yeah.
And when we talked about it here, you mentioned, oh, you should really check out the original one. It's so good, and I'm like, I don't think I can.
It's still not fully like it's. I mean, it's not that it's not linear. Like, it is not a really clear story, even the original. But you don't need to know why things are happening. It's just if you watch it with the lights out, it will like seep into you in very very effective ways.
Yeah. I got to gear up for it. It's on my list, but I'm too afraid.
I mean, at this point, it's like 20-something years old, so you could watch it for Spooktober.
That's true.
Yeah.
As
it's a classic.
Classic.
It is a classic. It can vote now. It can drink now. It can do all those things. It can rent a car. Let's see. I have thrillers and mysteries. I have 2 for once. I never have thrillers and mysteries.
Oh, so yeah, I can just kind of shove all mine together, and because I have a couple.
Ooh, keep going.
Of stuff. So I don't want to really talk at length about this, but I rewatched Sliver again. I feel like I watched it last year.
Sliver, the Sharon Stone, or the okay,
the Sharon Stone. If you have not seen the 1993 Baldwin Stone.
Is that Billy?
Sliver. Yes,
okay.
William Baldwin, yes.
I call him Billy, we're close.
Who I think wrote a letter of support for that rapist, that 70s show rapist. So I'm not saying, this is not an endorsement of that man, but I do think that, I'm obsessed with this movie.
It's wild. It's pretty wild.
So it's everything that I want a movie to be. Mm-hmm. So if you're one of those people that have just been like, I don't need to watch Sliver.
No, you do.
That movie's old. Yes, you please do. And then talk to me about it.
I feel like Sharon Stone's fashion in that movie is really on point.
Yes, everything she's doing is really good and interesting.
She's great in that, yeah.
Yeah,
she's a fucking movie star. Like, I remember really watching, what's the Wes Craven movie, Deadly Whisper, is that it? That she's in, like, Deadly Blessing, that's it. Thank you.
She just shows up at the end and fucking eats. She's just so beautiful standing there.
I remember, like, I watched the movie, it's been a while, but I remember, like, watching it, and, like, when she shows up, whenever it is, every time she's on screen, you're like, my God, this is a fucking movie star. She's just, her voice, her look, everything. She is who she is for a very specific reason, and nobody else can do that.
There's a specific shot during, like, towards the end, if not right at the end, where I just remember there was like a room full of people and she was like there, and I was like, you can't not look. It's just her. Exactly. No one else exists in this room.
So Sliver, not a great script by any means, but she is not the problem in that movie.
No, she's not the problem in that movie, and it's based on an Ira Levin.
That's right, it is.
Yeah. Which I don't know if it's that good, because I think it was maybe the last thing he wrote, or it was very late in his career. So, and I know the general consensus is his quality fell off quite a bit. But, like, again, there are worse things you can watch, everybody.
Certainly.
Watch Sliver.
Yeah. I have one that was a, like, gaping hole in my filmography, and I would bet a lot of money that you have seen this movie more than once. I had never seen Rope. Alfred Hitchcock's Rope.
It's not my favorite, but I do obviously enjoy it, and it did a thing.
It does a thing.
I mean, the thing. It's great.
It does a few things, actually. Like, it does the big thing of, is this one shot?
Mm-hmm.
It is a movie about a killer trying to get away with it, and there are totally gay elements to it.
Yep.
Which, like, I'm watching it, I'm like, we're just like, I mean, it's obvious, right? But it's I guess post Hays Code, or like Hitchcock kind of didn't care about the Hays Code, so he got around a lot of it. But yeah, it's great. It's riveting. It's funny.
It's really funny.
Yeah,
it's great performances.
Very, very, very great performances. Yeah, but I was surprised at how funny it was, how much I was laughing, and sort of like in that like snickering kind of like ooh evil way. It's a good time.
Yeah, it's like a romp. I would just, it's like, I know it's about murder and it's very dark, but like it feels like there's elements to it that feel slapsticky. It feels sometimes
like a farce at times.
Yes, it does. It feels farcical. You're completely right. I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
Cool. Maybe I'll rewatch it.
Why not?
I watched a movie that wasn't very good, and I only mention it because it was written by the gentleman that wrote The Ruins, which we just talked about. So it's a movie from 2019, so semi-recently, The Burnt Orange Heresy.
That's a title.
It is. I love it, actually. So Scott Smith adapted it from an existing work, I think. Overall, I was very disappointed. It was not intriguing or fun, but Mick Jagger is really good in it.
Oh, fascinating.
So that is my strange review of a strange movie I watched.
That is something that will get some people to just watch a movie. Oh, Donald Sutherland is there.
He was good too.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's always good.
He's always good, yeah. I thought like, oh, this Scott Smith character, I like what he's putting down, and so I just, we had been kind of kicking around watching it, like, because it's like an adult drama, mystery kind of thing, but it just really fell flat.
Okay, interesting. You've seen A Simple Plan, right?
I have not.
Oh, it's so good.
I know.
That's one to look forward to watching.
There are some things, and I think I've said it to you, there are truly things at this point that I'm just putting off because, like, I'll only be able to watch it for the first time once.
Ooh, I love that. I actually love the way you said that. Because it is totally true.
Like, I know I need to watch it, because speaking of Hitchcocks, there are 3 or 4 Hitchcock movies I've never watched, because I'll never have a new Hitchcock movie to watch, so why do I want to blow them all now?
I mean, that's what my thoughts on both a lot of books and Murder, She Wrote. It's like, I don't want to ever have watched all of the Murder, She Wrote. I want to always know I can pick one at random and be surprised. And it's similar with some of my favorite authors, where I, want to devour everything they've written, but I also don't ever want to not be able to read something they've written for the first time. So I go very slow, and I try to jump around and take years between reading an author's books. Yeah,
especially if you know for a fact you're never going to get
when it's finite.
Any more I feel the same way about De Palma too. There's a couple De Palmas I haven't watched where I'm like, well, this might be it for the rest of my life for De Palma output.
I like that. So one writer who I'm not afraid of ever running out of her stuff, because she wrote a lot. Both Brandon and I recently read Crooked House by Agatha Christie. Which, are you familiar with that one?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. It's a good one. And it's very like, Brandon read it, he's like, I think you should read this. And I read it, I'm like, oh, I get why. Because I won't spoil it, but like, it's definitely a murder mystery made for me for very specific reasons. So there was a film adaptation a couple years ago with a ridiculous cast. Did you know this?
A recent one?
2017, I think.
Oh, wait, did I watch that one?
So Glenn Close.
Yes, I watched that one.
Yeah, Glenn Close, Christina Hendricks, Gillian Anderson, Julian
so
Sands. The little girl who plays Josephine was in the Christmas Prince movies, and I always really liked her in that, so it was fun to see her again. It's, as a film adaptation, it was good. I would say it was solid. Brandon made a good point, which is it wasn't as funny. Like that's a book that feels like it has a very sharp sense of humor to it, which doesn't quite come across as much. It was a little more serious. But like clearly Gillian Anderson is having a ball. Yeah. Glenn Close is having a lot of fun. Is it Max Irons? Is that his name? He's Jeremy Irons' son or grandson, right? I assume.
I don't know, maybe.
I just assume if your last name matches a famous person and you're in Hollywood and you're not overly talented, that you are probably the son of somebody famous. I find him very bland.
I don't know if I know who this is. I'm going to go look him up.
I have to, I mean, if he is not Jeremy Irons' son, I'd be very shocked. No, yeah. He's Jeremy Irons' son. He is very dull. I have seen him show up he was in the V.C. Andrews, one of those adaptations. I feel like he was in something else. He's just, I don't know, he's very good looking. He's tall. He is fine. He is playing a character that is also the least interesting character in the book as well. But like, he just, I don't know, is one of those very, like, I feel like he will start getting the parts that Armie Hammer was getting because he is that type physically.
Yeah. You know what? He was in that Amanda Seyfried Red Riding Hood movie.
Oh my God, he was. That was that was the first movie Brandon and I saw in the theater together.
Oh.
Yeah.
What a terrible, lovely choice.
It was great because it was like we both laughed at it, so I knew I liked him.
Yep. It's a good litmus test. I think that's the only thing I really recognize him from.
Yeah, he's
very
I
see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Because I saw that Crooked House and I don't recognize him from.
Right, because you wouldn't remember him at all. You'd remember like Gillian Anderson with her Cleopatra haircut, but
damn
not
right
the rest.
I do.
Yeah. Those are my dramas. You have more drama, thriller, mystery.
I have a thriller. It is called Dismissed. This is a high recommend. It is called Dismissed from 2017. It stars Cole Sprouse's brother, Dylan Sprouse. So I've
seen this movie.
It is so good.
It's really good. Oh oh my gosh, this is good. I thought this was a Lifetime movie when I started watching it, and I still don't know if it wasn't, but it felt like one, but then you're like, oh no, this is good. It can't be.
It felt like that's how I described it yesterday. I was
Mm-hmm.
pitching it. I was lightly pitching it, and I was like, it's like a Lifetime movie, but like genuinely good.
Exactly.
Not to say that Lifetime movies can't be good, but I
Right.
think there's this perception that they're not real.
They don't
or they're
need
kind
to
of
be
trashy.
good. They don't need to
Yeah.
be good to satisfy their viewer. So often, because of time and money, they can only try so hard. There are plenty of exceptions, but
This fucking hit. It worked for me.
Yeah.
It was great. It was fun. It was over the top. It was goofy. It
Yep.
was melodramatic. It was all the things I wanted. And it was good. High recommend.
and it hits that sweet spot because it is something that
Yep.
you and I have talked about before of something that is very scary is a teenage boy.
Yup.
Right? And that's the thing. It's this
Truly.
overachieving student that has a new teacher and he gets a bad grade and he just like demolishes the teacher's life.
And
Oh.
it's all really satisfying because
Mhm.
he's shitty and he's easy to hate.
Yep.
And so like it's fun when he does nasty stuff, but then when he gets comeuppance or he's like almost going to get caught, you're like, good, you jerk. It's really satisfying in a lot of ways.
Yep. Yeah, it's a good one.
Do you have any action?
I do actually.
Okay. So I'll hold off on that then. I also watched, I would call this a drama thriller. I watched 2023's, so this year, The Passenger, directed by Carter Smith, who directed The Ruins,
Okay.
and who is fast becoming one of my maybe top 5 modern
Nice.
creatives. This movie, it stars Kyle Gallner, so honestly,
Yay.
just show up for that. But it's phenomenal. It is outstanding.
I'm excited to see that. I don't think it's streaming anywhere yet. I think it's rentable. So
We rented it almost as soon as we were able because Zach really liked his other movie, I think from earlier this year, Swallowed.
Mhm.
As did I. I liked it quite a bit. So we were really like buzzing to see it.
Nice.
And that doesn't happen very often
Yep.
anymore. Where you're like, ooh, a new person I like has a movie starring a person I like. So yes. So once it's streaming, I'll try to remember or to remind everyone, but please keep your eye out
Definitely.
for it. It's so good.
Yep, definitely.
Drama. Let's see. I feel like I have something else, but I'm going. This is drama thriller. I'm not going to go into detail. It's a second time I'm recommending it, but I rewatched the movie Till Death, starring Megan Fox.
That's right. I remember when you had watched that, I remember making a note of it and saying, okay, I need to watch this because Christine liked it.
I rewatched it and I was really afraid I wasn't going to still like it, but I still really like it.
Good. I liked it. I think it was smaller than I thought it would be, but also didn't like, I don't know, when it's a very small movie, I want it to be like perfect, right? It's like I always say, like on Project Runway, if you're making a simple dress, it's got to be a perfectly simple
It's got to be a perfect dress.
Yeah. And I felt like it didn't quite like fully, like there was like leaking a little bit, if that makes sense.
No, I get that. I think I was probably overly forgiving of a couple things just because I find her so fun to watch.
Oh, and she was great in it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just probably, but like I really went into it like, okay, well, this proves that I just needed something and I'm ridiculous and this is not a good movie. But I was like, wait, no, I still really like this movie.
Good.
I have a couple more, but I think they're worth mentioning.
Do it.
I watched a new submarine movie, which would be K-19, The Widowmaker.
Okay, wait, isn't that?
It's not new. It's new to me. It's from 2002.
I was going to say, like, I have vague memories of that being some time ago.
No, it's a Catherine Bigelow movie from literally like.
It is Catherine Bigelow. I thought so. Okay.
Yeah. But it was new to me. I had never seen it. It was horrifying, and I loved it.
Nice. That's Harrison Ford, right?
No, Liam Neeson. I think.
Okay.
Right.
You're the one that watched it.
Yeah. No, it is Harrison. Oh, it's Harrison Ford and Liam Neeson.
Hey, all right.
We did it together. And Peter Sarsgaard. It's about like a nuclear sub. So like it's that. So if you don't like people who have like poisoning and things falling off them, maybe don't watch it.
Oh no, that's my kind of thing. You know that.
But like it was icky and upsetting in like a whole different way.
Very nice.
All right. Okay, this is my last one this is action. I'm done.
All right, well, let's move over to action.
Okay.
Do
Hit
it.
me.
No,
Oh, me?
flow in. Do it.
I am excited about this. This is a recommend. They remade kind of River Wild.
Okay, I have seen it go by on Hulu. I've seen some people talk positively of it. Tell me.
So it's River Wild. So it's a river rafting movie. It's not a remake of the original River Wild, which is a movie I watched on repeat as a child. But it's still people river rafting and in peril.
Nice.
So the spirit is there, but it's Leighton Meester and Adam Brody.
Nice. They're
Um,
married.
oh my God, if they are, good for both of
I
them.
think they
I don't
are. I
know.
know they both married people that were in that same world of like teenage shows. I don't remember if it was each other or not.
Oh, I have no clue. I love Adam Brody so much. I think he's so fun, and I don't know. Leighton Meester has become my patron saint recently.
I like her a lot. Yeah.
So this is like, oh, of course we have to watch this. It's not like no one's winning any Oscars off this movie or anything. It's not changing lives, but I think it's really fun and really zippy and looks good for I think the budget I assume it had.
Nice.
So that's a recommend from me.
Nice. I kind of got onto it's like good timing on that one because we got it, or at least no, I got into a bit of a like survivalist horror kick. So we watched it was my brother-in-law recommended it, a movie it's on Hulu now called Backcountry. It's directed by the guy who made something that I like. What did he make? Oh, the guy who did whatchamacallit. He did Pie Wacket, which is a good horror film a couple years ago.
Oh, I still haven't watched that.
It's good. It's good.
Okay.
So Backcountry is a very small movie. It is not so this couple, they go hiking in the wilderness because the guy's like, he's been there before. He knows where he's going. They don't need a map. He knows what he's doing. And she's like, yeah, I'm a lawyer. I have to get back to work on Monday. And guess what? He didn't know where he was going. And now they're stuck in the woods and they're low on food and there's a bear. There's a hungry bear out there. And it is just basically these two people trying to now survive in the woods. It's very short. It's like an hour 20. So it's very like, no, like we're moving along. It does other things too, where you like, it's building tension in other ways. What's his name? Eric Balfour shows up in the beginning, and you're like, "Ooh, what's this going to be?" And it goes somewhere interesting. It's the two leads are great. Like they're very good together, and it kind of depends on the two of them having this like loving but very fragile relationship. And it's good survivalist horror, which after this, like, I went on a spree of I Shouldn't Be Alive episodes and stuff.
Ooh.
So, yeah, it's worth a watch.
All right. I think this is my last one, and it's a biggie.
Ooh.
It's a real divisive one.
Lay it on me.
Meg 2.
I
watched Meg 2.
Did you? And you saw Meg 1?
I did not like Meg 1 at all.
I have not seen either. Did you like Meg 2?
I loved it.
Good. How wonderful.
It's directed by Ben Wheatley.
It's Ben Wheatley. Yeah.
It's semi-relevant. Everyone seemed to like the first Meg. They thought it was like really effective or whatever. I don't know why. It just didn't work for me. And I was like, ew, I don't want to see the Meg 2. And then people were like, the Meg 2 is terrible. And I was like, wait,
well, now I guess I have to see the Meg 2. Fastest way to get me to see a movie.
Well, if you liked the one I didn't like, and now you're saying this one's bad, and I know I like the director, well, sign me the fuck up. And so I was pleasantly surprised, I guess. I thought it was really fun. It's what I want from a shark movie. And I think the Meg Prime was what maybe other people are looking for in a shark movie. Like, I just want a shark to attack things and people to run around and it to be bedlam and chaos.
Yeah.
And I maybe want somebody to like punch a shark or like do something absurd because it's a giant shark. It should be kind of absurd, right?
And that's the thing about shark movies that I know I've had a problem with in the past is that so many shark movies, and I forgot forgot about documentary, but I watched Sharksploitation on Shudder, directed by Steven Scarlatta, which is very exciting. And it's great. It goes into so many very very specific details about shark movies one of the things about that subgenre that for me gets very stale is like, well, what can you do? Like, don't fall in the water and you'll get eaten by a shark. And so many movies, I think of The Reef as the prime example of this. Every moment of tension in The Reef is a character in the water swimming and the camera moving at them, and will they get out of the water in time? Mm-hmm. And it's like because sharks are always moving. There's only so much you can do with a shark that you have to be very creative in your filmmaking to make that work. So when you do something like The Meg, or when you have a gigantic shark, okay, well, now we have more room to play, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So play with it well.
Yeah, I liked it, and I recommend it, but I full well understand that other people did not feel the same way.
So I didn't watch any of the Megs, but I did, and this is actually very tied to Backcountry. I was like, after that, I'm like, yeah, I want more like survival-y stuff. So I go on Amazon, I watch I Shouldn't Be Alive, and then the first thing that comes up on my recommends, which apparently came up on everybody's recommends because it was like Amazon's biggest debut ever, was a movie I had not heard of, but I saw the poster. I'm like, yeah, sure, I was going to throw this on because I'm doing other stuff, and this looks like good background entertainment. The Black Demon.
Yeah, I shut it off 4 minutes into it, I think.
You didn't like the racist American family, or?
I don't know. It started immediately, and I was like, I don't want to watch this.
I don't know what this movie was. I watched the whole thing.
Did you like it?
I don't know.
Interesting.
This, I don't even know what genre this goes in. Like, is it action? Is it horror? I don't know. It took me, I was curious enough, and I was like lazy enough that I'm like, all right, let's see where this goes. Because I really couldn't figure out whether the movie was about racism or was kind of racist. Like, that was one thing that was kind of boggling through my head, it was very like, oh, here's this family, and the mother is I believe supposed to be Mexican, and the father is as white as you can be, Josh Charles, and they they're in Mexico in the small town, and like he's an asshole, like he's just doing that like American asshole thing everywhere he goes. But then he leaves, and immediately, like, the locals at the bar threaten to rape the woman and daughter. And I'm watching this thinking, like, is this really, like, what we're doing here? But then we get to the shark, I guess. Mm-hmm. I don't know, like, was this movie supernatural? I think it was. There's parts of, like, the dad was responsible for, like, basically helping this oil company poison the waters. And now I think the spirits were punishing the family for this. I don't know what happened in this movie. I know that it was entertaining enough, and there was a giant shark, and it was pretty to look at water, that I stuck with it. But this is the worst review of all time, because I have no idea where I landed on this movie.
That's so funny. You know that I struggle with, like, bailing on stuff. Like, I sometimes feel like if I've started it, like, I need to finish it. I owe it to the movie to see the whole thing before I pass final judgment. But this one I just couldn't do for some reason. Something was telling me you are not going to be happy if you finish this movie.
I don't know there is something off about it. And I can't really like verbalize it correctly, because I don't know kind of maybe whose movie it is, what the audience is, because it feels like it's going to be pretty rough. But then also you realize pretty quickly, you're like, no, the kids are going to live, right? Yeah, they're not going to kill the kids. And had they, I think that would have changed things dramatically for my enjoyment of the movie, which sounds terrible, but it like tells you like they were kind of deciding the stakes as they went, it felt.
I was just thinking, it sounds like they didn't have very clear stakes. So like I take issue with that a lot of times. Like if I don't know how I'm supposed to, it's your job to tell me how I'm supposed to approach this or feel about this. But if you're not giving me like clear stakes, then I don't know. Should I care? Like that's interesting. I'm fascinated by your experience watching this.
Yeah, I was tired that day, but it was one of those like very strange watches for me, where it's rare that I am so confused about whether I enjoyed something or not. Because I think I was in such a mood for that kind of movie that it came up on my screen and I'm like, oh, fabulous. This is exactly what I want right now. And it wasn't quite that, but because I think I was so primed for it, I was probably like, all right, cool. Yeah. Oh, I know exactly what's going to happen with the shot. Like, we're going to see, they're going to pull him up and he's going to just, his legs aren't there. Yep, his legs aren't there. Like, but there's something comforting in that sometimes.
Totally. I totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Any more action, adventure, sci-fi?
Did I mention I watched First Blood last time we
I don't
talked?
think so. First Blood meaning Rambo?
Rambo. I had never
Wow,
seen it.
you had not.
No.
Oh, that is quite a first watch.
Isn't that strange? Like, it's one of those things. I've seen sequels. I've read things. It's in pop culture, so you just go.
I've seen it. And yet, First Blood is so different than
It really
when
is.
you say Rambo, what you think of. First Blood is not that at all.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I'm glad I watched it. I think I would rewatch it maybe before I rewatched any of the other Rambo movies. But yeah, it's definitely. I do enjoy like young Stallone too.
He's great in it. Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Like I find him really captivating.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if like me, you've not watched First Blood for some reason, you should. I'm really trying to get in there and like pinpoint those big holes I have, because I get a lot of like enjoyment of like, oh, I fully understand this pop culture thing now.
Yes, it's exciting when you do, and when it surprises you. I think that's the most exciting part. And I feel like First Blood is a good example of that because you know the character, you know the like effect on cinema and stuff, but then you watch that movie and it's, oh no, this is a movie about the PTSD and being a war vet. Like this is not a feel good action movie at all. This isn't a pro. This is actually a very kind of an indictment against how America treats its military. Like it is not Rambo 2, which is yeehaw. It's very strange in that way where that franchise went, but it's a good movie.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of people kind of maybe like me, I knew that like, oh, this is very different, but I guess I didn't realize how contemplative and how like deep it digs into that.
Yeah.
It's not just a passing thing like, oh, war is bad and this person didn't come out good from it.
Right.
It's a lot more explicit.
Yeah, I mean, he has a monologue in tears at the end that is
I did not
gripping.
expect it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
I have a couple more.
Do it.
The Wrath of Becky.
So this is apparently a sequel to another movie about Becky that I didn't know existed.
Yes.
Have you seen the first Becky?
Yes.
So you are a Becky fan.
The first Becky is Lulu Wilson, who, if you know who Lulu Wilson is, then you do. She's a child actress. You do know who she is. I think she's in Ouija Origin of Evil, among other things.
I believe you. She looks so much like other. Oh, yeah. Young Curly on Hill House. Okay, she's Mike Flanagan protege. Yeah. Yes.
So and Becky is her and primarily Kevin James, like King of Queens, Kevin James. And he's like a neo-Nazi in it, trying to break into her house.
Fascinating.
So it's like a kid like staving off a home invasion.
Nice.
But like not in a cute Home Alone way. But it's really fun. It's really bloody. It's really extreme. That Becky character is really great. And like you get a lot of bad guys getting their comeuppance type of stuff. So Becky is a hard recommend for me.
Okay.
But Wrath of Becky was kind of disappointing. I think for me, what appealed to me in the original wasn't really present in the second one. But like if you just want bloody gags, maybe you would be like, oh, well, it's bloody and fun, so I like it just as much.
Okay, good to know. It is a different filmmaking team, which is interesting.
Yeah, that first Becky had a different vibe, I would say. But like I like that movie a lot, like to the point where I might rewatch it someday. Like it was fun.
I see there is a dog on the cover. Is the dog okay?
I'm almost positive. I don't usually watch things. Oh yeah, I think the dog's like a straight up hero.
Okay, good. All right, then maybe I'll give it a chance. All right, keep going. What else you got?
I have one sci-fi.
Let's hear it.
They Cloned Tyrone.
I have heard intriguing things about this. Tell me.
I adored it.
Nice.
It's John Boyega, Jamie Foxx, Kiefer Sutherland. Oh, that beautiful woman who
from Mad Men, right?
Who plays who plays Monica Rambeau, right? In
Teona something.
Yeah, I can't think of her name and I don't have it in front of me. Let me get there. Yeah. She's the best fucking part of this movie.
Nice.
I liked it a lot. I've seen some mixed takes on it, so I'm hesitant to be like, you'll love it. But I liked it. I thought it was really fun and high concept and goofy, inappropriate places. I laughed a lot.
Nice.
But like, I just saw somebody who I really respect gave it like 2 stars yesterday. And I was like, oh no. What? Did I miss something in this movie?
No, the consensus I was hearing was very positive. Most of the reviews I heard and the people I saw discussing it were pretty keen on it. So
yeah, I liked it a lot. I don't remember where I watched it. Where is it? Is that Netflix?
Yes, it's a Netflix original.
Yeah. I liked it a lot.
Nice, very nice.
It's cloning stuff too, which is my shit.
I love stuff. Yeah.
I love clones and dual people and like the dichotomy of blah blah blah. So like, it's cool.
Nice.
And then all I have left is horror.
Okay. I had one more documentary that I'd forgotten to write down, but there is a documentary out there. I think it was like a Kickstarter thing, so I don't know that it's streaming anywhere, but it is Whodunit, the story behind Clue.
What?
Yeah, it's a fan documentary. It's like one guy who spent the last several years compiling interviews with everybody he could. It's very like, it feels a little like homemade shabby, but he gets Michael McKean, he gets Leslie Ann Morin, he gets,
Interesting.
like he gets the big guns that he could. And apparently, this is like so sad, he was scheduled to actually interview Tim Curry. But then this is the filmmaker. He thought he had COVID, or there was a chance he had COVID, so he had to like call it off because Tim Curry is also very ill. So it's a shame because my God, I would have killed to hear Tim Curry today talk about Clue. So you don't get that, but you get everybody talking about it. Like it gets very granular where there's like the prop person talking about something. Like it's it's a little bit like. Very much that, like, I'm a fan, and I tried to compile everything I could to, put in front of you, which is, it's Clue. So, one of the greatest movies that didn't get its due. So it's nice, and there's some good stories. There's some things I didn't know that I learned watching it. It's worth checking out. I don't know again where you can find it. I think like Brannon like pre-ordered it like 2 years ago because I think this guy like has been like raising money to finish it, and he finally did, and it's out there. So if you love Clue, which of course you do, if you've seen Clue, you know how great it is. It's a nice little poke there.
Yeah, it's my husband's favorite movie, arguably.
It's so great. Of course.
I would say, I mean, it's hard to pick a favorite movie, right? But it definitely is the movie that can get put on at any time or quoted about anything. I'm going to look into this, see if I can track this down.
Yeah, do what you can there. So are you ready to dive into horror, or do you need a quick break?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. Lay it on me. What you got?
Well, I have a really good one, and I don't know if I want to leave that for. Oh, I have a couple really good ones.
Do I have any good ones? I feel like mine are pretty rough this go around. I have one really good one that was actually a you recommended. I had put it on my queue, but then when you talked about it, I was like, well, no, I need to bump this up and watch this sooner.
Oh, what is it?
Eric's Revenge, Phantom of the Mall.
Yes, isn't it fun?
Oh my God, it's so much fun. It is the like. I sat down and I knew, I'm like, okay, I'm probably gonna have a good time here. What am I gonna get? Oh my God, I didn't know I was gonna get Morgan Fairchild in a V-neck blue sequin gown with giant earrings. I didn't know I was gonna get Pauly Shore doing prop humor.
Yep.
I didn't know I was gonna get like Death by Cobra, a car chase in a parking garage. Like this scratched every single itch I ever have. It was wonderful.
It's real fun. It's real good. Yeah, I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, it was a joy, an absolute joy.
It delivers on every promise it makes.
Completely. Yeah. Yep.
Love it. Oh, that's awesome. I watched The Blackening.
Oh, I want to watch that. I'm just waiting for it to come to me.
I think we rented it. Yeah, I hadn't seen it show up anywhere yet. I liked it quite a bit.
Nice. It looks really fun.
I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was pretty funny. I will revisit it. Sometimes I wonder if my original ratings of things are just because I was pleasantly surprised. And like if I go back and look, will I come back down to earth and be like, oh, well, this is just like a 3-star and not a 4-star.
Right, right, right.
But I had a lot of fun with it. So, and I had hit a kind of a spot, sounds like you hit a spot, where I wasn't watching anything that was working for me.
Mm-hmm.
So this was after a big grouping of that, and I think I was just so relieved to finally like a newer movie.
Yeah, I can see that. I'd say, okay, the next one I'll name is one that I feel like I was kinder to than a lot of the internet, in part because I think,
Ooh.
like, again, this was still when I was on my survivalist weekend of like, oh, what else is out there? And I had seen this show up on Shudder, and as soon as it did, the title is Quicksand. And I saw the title, I was like, oh, I don't know what it is, but I'll add it to my list. And then I started to kind of hear people be pretty disappointed in it, but I was like, I just watched a movie in the woods, now I want a movie in the rainforest, let's do it. And it's a couple who are divorcing. They're like near the end of their marriage, and they end up in quicksand, plain and simple. They go hiking, they almost get robbed, they run into the woods and fall into quicksand. And that's the premise. Which could be like a really tight, scary, oh my god, they're gonna drown, they're gonna this. But it's not really doing that, in part because, like, they're doctors, so very quickly they're like, well, we're not going to drown here. Like, that's not how quicksand works. We might starve to death, or we might get bit by snakes. Like, there's other ways we're going to die. So it's like, right away, you're like, well, so you're taking away, like, the scariest part of quicksand. You've just taken it away.
Yeah.
And then it also does that thing that, like, every one of these movies has to do, which is, like, oh, well, like, how will they be rescued? Let's keep flashing back to the hotel and their friend who might start to suspect something and may be able to save them in time. So, like, why movie? Why do that? Like, put me in a space and stick me in that space. Don't keep flashing back to somebody, like, looking at their cell phone.
I completely agree with you.
It
really
things.
undercuts stuff, yeah.
So again, having all said all that, I don't know if I'm recommending it. It's very short. I thought the actors are very good, and they, like, when you first meet this like, you never really want a movie to be about characters that are getting a divorce, because that's just kind of ripe for misery. And they're very unhappy, and they're awful to each other, and you're kind of like, oh god, now I'm going to literally be stuck in quicksand with these people. This sounds terrible. But I thought, like, that work, the character work from the actors and I guess from the script, was very smart about how, especially like the female, how it quickly, like, you understood why she is the way she is, and why maybe she'll get out of this. Like, that kind of stripping away sort of some of those things that were putting her in this specific space of why she was being so mean to this guy, for example. Like, you see that, like, as a character piece, it actually was really good. But I wanted it to be a terrifying story about dying a slow death in quicksand, and it's not really that. So, if any of that sounds appealing, then check it out. But I would say if you, like, are going in thinking, like, oh, I'm gonna watch people die in quicksand, you're not really.
I a contemplative character study in quicksand could work.
Yeah, it's something.
You never know. Hey, remember that movie that was real popular, I don't know, 5 years ago, called Bird Box?
Did you finally watch Bird Box?
No, I watched Bird Box when it came out. They did a new one.
Barcelona?
Bird Box Barcelona.
Tell me about Bird Box Barcelona.
I am not a original Bird Box super fan by any means.
It was fine, is my thought on it. If I had to give it a review, it was fine.
It was fine. There was some stuff that worked. There was some stuff that was like, meh. I liked a lot of the people in it, and it looked cool, I thought. And, it was a movie. Any goodwill from that first movie just destroyed by this one. It was just so unaffecting. It was like I could have spent my time reading a Maytag manual for my new dishwasher. Instead, like, it was just so bleh, really disappointing.
I mean, the fact that I haven't heard anything about it certainly, like, suggested to me that it wasn't great.
Yeah.
And again, as I think you and I have said, like, the worst thing a horror movie can be is boring.
Yep.
And it sounds like this kind of fits that bill.
It was boring, but like not in like the pacing sense of that. It was like it was never doing anything interesting. It was just moving, going through the paces, going through the motions, just kind of like there. And like it kept telling me I was supposed to care about a certain man and his daughter, and I just was like, you've not given me a single reason to. You can't just demand that I care.
Yeah.
You know when things do that?
Oh, completely. I forget what the. Oh man, there was something I watched like the last time we did this, and I remember feeling that way and being so angry because that feeling of just because something bad is happening to you doesn't mean I care. You have to make me care about a character to sell me on 90 minutes with them. They can't just be awful and I feel bad because something awful is happening to them. Like, no, that's not how this works. Oof. Yeah, it's damning.
So I don't, unless you're a completist or like that genre is something that you feel like you need to engage in, I'd say there's no real point.
Okay, that's good to know because I had considered watching it, but
I don't think there's anything there.
Yeah. Okay, I have one that I'm really curious if you watched on Shudder. Bad Things.
No, I've not.
Oh, okay. This is I think the easiest way to like the tagline would be a queer Shining. It's for two couples who have very confusing sexual history with each other. The lead, it's Gail Rankin from Glow, who's fantastic. I love her every time she shows up in something. And she's inherited this motel, like in the middle of upstate New York, not near anything. It's wintry, it's cold. It's like the outside looks like Blackcoat's daughter, like it's that kind of feeling. And they get there and like maybe it's haunted, but it's this like there's things about it that are so great because it's this like a haunted hotel, except imagine a haunted hotel being like a Days Inn from 1995 that closed. Like it's not Victorian.
Amazing.
It's this like pastel walls and all these things that are such like, ooh, I want a horror movie here. This is great. And there's things going on that are really cool and intriguing. But this is a movie that very clearly decided it did not want to to tell you what was going on or make sense in any way or give you an ending that you can understand. Like, it is deliberately confusing and open, and did anything happen? I don't know. Did it happen? You could have. And like, you're watching a movie that you're like, no, you were designed as a movie to leave me saying, so it's very like, I'm not saying don't watch it because I actually would love for more people to watch it so I could talk to them about it because it's enjoyable to watch. It's just kind of deliberately withholding in a way that didn't feel rewarding to me. So all that being said is please watch it so I can get your view on it next time.
Well, so it looks amazing and the cast looks amazing. And also it's from the director of that movie Lyle. Have you ever seen that? I
didn't see Lyle, but Lyle is on Peacock, and I had added it to my queue and then realized it was the same director and thought, oh, okay, I'm intrigued.
I've always wanted to watch Lyle, but I've always been a little scared. Like, I don't know if it's like the cover, if oh my God, now
it's like pregnancy horror type thing, right?
I think the woman's son dies, and the cover is just really haunting and upsetting to me. And you never know, right? You can't tell. You just go on first impressions. So I go like, oh, is this going to destroy me? It could. It could. So maybe we just move on. So seeing that it's the same director has now made me extra intrigued about both.
Yeah.
Where did you say it was? Shudder?
Bad Things is on Shudder. Lyle is on Peacock. Okay,
yeah. I think Lyle might be on Canopy too. I feel like it's
possibly.
Every time I click into Canopy, I go past it and go, is this the time? No.
Well, maybe that will be our next movie. Maybe we should just force it.
I'm very curious to see this now. Yeah.
All right,
your description of it is great.
I think this is giving me an idea. So, okay, good.
Okay.
All right. Give me another one that you watched.
Oh my gosh, this is such a high recommend. Ooh. So you can thank my mom for this. And I believe it might be on like Tubi. I think you can find it for free. It is from 2018 and it is called Butterfly Kisses.
I don't know it.
Yeah, I didn't either. And my mom is big into watching every like found footage movie she could find on these Tubi-esque sites. So she found this one and she's like, I promise you're going to like it. I promise you'll like it. And I was like, okay. And so I watched it, and it is it's about a guy who finds a box of VHS tapes. And on the VHS tapes is 2 film students filming about this urban legend. So it's almost like the movie is about the guy that found the Blair Witch tapes.
Ooh, okay.
So like you see what's on the
I like the meta-ness of this.
Yeah, and it actually has interesting commentary on the genre itself. Because it's so meta, it becomes this weird look of like, what makes one believable? Why should we even think this is real? This is too much of a common trope in these fake things. Like, so it really kind of it's really fun. I liked it a lot.
Nice. Okay. I am wildly intrigued, so I will seek it out and report back.
Yeah. I think there's something there. Even if it doesn't work quite as well, at least it's not like it's something to dig your teeth into. Like I keep thinking about it, and I keep being like, well, in Butterfly Kisses. So it's in my arsenal of weird references to make about like first person POV or found footage movies.
Nice. Okay. I'll look out for it. We'll move to another movie I don't recommend because I don't think it can be defined as a movie.
Uh-oh.
So I watched this movie, the title comes up on Amazon Prime, and I see, first of all, the description, like, says, like, at the day before the big Scarecrow Festival. So I'm like, ooh, okay. I'm in a fall mood. I'm ready for Octoberiness. Give me scarecrows. Great. First off, there are no scarecrows in this movie, so let's just get that out of the way.
False advertising.
And I watched this movie, and it is... Now, I want to be clear. This is a competent movie. Bruce Davison is in it. I love Bruce Davison. Ooh. Bruce Davison should be in every bad movie because he makes everything he's in better. Like, every time he's on screen, you're like, oh, I trust you. But then this movie ends. Like, it's fairly short. It's like now probably under 90 minutes. And, like, stuff hasn't really happened, but, like, it's starting to happen. And then I'm like, this is a one night, but now it's, like, light out, so the movie's over, but it's not. And then it ends with, like... I'm not kidding. It ends with to be continued. Like, it actually says that on the screen. Because you don't find out anything that happened in this movie. Because apparently the filmmaker wanted to make a part 2 and never found enough money to do it. So Munger Road should not be called Munger Road. It should be called Munger Road Part 1. So that you know, well, I'm not going to watch Part 1 until I can watch Part 2. Because there's no point in watching this movie. Because there is no Part 2.
That is... infuriating.
I feel like conned, right? Like
I don't have words to express how disappointing I find all that.
Yeah. And it's not an overly good movie. It's a very simple, like, I don't know, it's like 4 teenagers, like, go out in the woods, and then their car breaks down, and also there's an escaped serial killer, so he's probably messing with them. There's some good directing. There's, like, there's a little bit of, like, a found footagey aspect, because they have a video camera, they're trying to, like, ghost hunt, and there's a great shot where a character is, like, the point of view is his camera, and he puts the camera on the ground, and you realize somebody has picked up the camera and is going to attack him, and it's like, ooh, that's good right there. Like, there's something right here. But we don't even know who attacked him! Because the movie doesn't get to that point!
What? Why?
Right? Like, that shouldn't be out there. It should have a disclaimer in the beginning. It made me very angry, Christine. Very angry.
No, I get it. Like, obviously, if you had a better sense of that going in, like,
sure,
maybe you could have tempered your expectations.
I mean, there are people who watched, 4 Divergent movies and never got the 5th, and I feel for them.
That's so frustrating. I will never put my eyeballs on it.
No, I mean, if there is a Munger Road 2, then I will watch the 2, because I feel like, again, like, there is a part of me that is not complete, because I started something I didn't finish, that...
Well, yeah.
Like,
It's an understandable reaction.
Yeah, it's very upsetting. I'm not cool with this. There were no scarecrows. Not even a scarecrow.
that is weird.
Yeah, why bother? Why
bother?
do this? Anyway.
Oh, we're in a strange place with movies these days.
This one was like, and that's the other thing. It's like from 10 years ago. So he's had 10 years. Right? At a certain point, you write an outline and put it out there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. You film with your Barbie dolls, and you take the Barbie brand off of them, and you put it on YouTube, so at least people know who the killer was.
Yeah. I mean, bold, I guess. Audacious, one might say.
Sure. Yeah, that.
I've been trying to watch every genre movie I've never seen from a very specific time period.
Okay.
So I watched a movie from 2007 called Solstice.
Solstice. Is it spelled like soul or like regular the way that you'd spell solstice?
Regular.
Solstice. Okay. I am not familiar. Do I not know how to spell solstice? Oh, I forgot the solstice. Okay. Sean Ashmore, who looks like, this is the one of the Blair Witch guys. Daniel Merrick.
Yes, I guess that's
yes,
true.
The director is one half of the Blair Witch team, but I think he's the not good half.
Well, this movie isn't very good.
Yeah, he's the half that did The Believers, not the half that did whatever the other guy did that was better.
Yeah. I know that the other guy.
I'm glad you know, because I clearly don't.
No, I fully
Eduardo
know
Sanchez was the other half of Blair Witch, and he's done a lot of TV. I think he did some of the good VHS segments. So, anyway, as you were, continue. Tell me about Solstice that wasn't good.
Well, there's not really much to tell. It's my Letterboxd review, which I'm very proud of, is I Know What You Did Last Solstice, which is essentially all the movie is.
Okay.
It's in the style of I Know What You Did Last Summer, but it's about someone's sister is murdered, and also a local little girl is murdered, and they go to this weird cabin in an old house in a smaller town, but it's all muddled and weird, and basically just boils down to, I don't know. It wasn't good.
It's another unfairly good cast.
Right? Amanda Seyfried is in this movie.
Amanda Seyfried and Hilary Burton, who is the best thing in any Hallmark movie she's in. Like the best thing of the season every time she's in one of those movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's not any of their fault by any stretch. Everybody's good in it and stuff. I mean, I gave it 2 stars. It really is just the way it's kind of composed. It's very difficult to follow and a little convoluted.
I understand.
It's a bummer, but so I had another movie on here from that time period that I didn't talk about because it just sucked too bad. But I'm really trying to capture all those genre or genre adjacent kind of teen leaning movies from the 2000s.
What was the other one that you had?
Soul Survivors.
Oh, we talked about Soul Survivors last time.
Did we talk about
Soul Survivors? Yes. Because remember I had to quote the entire trailer and used it at the end of the show.
I think I never want to. The more I think about Soul Survivors, the angrier I get.
Fair.
It's really strange.
I get it. That era. Actually, it's funny. I have a couple of movies from that era as well. Ooh. So one of them, let me find the young one. Well, no, I'll do the one that was probably more of the same budget. Mirrors, 2008.
With Kiefer?
With Kiefer, yeah.
Yeah, that one. This one's rough, right?
It's rough because you're watching this and you're like, this didn't have to be rough. It's Alexander Aja. I think it might have been his first thing after after High Tension, or I think it was his first big American production after High Tension. Mm-hmm. So you're like, okay, so you're working with different parameters. I don't know if it was R or PG-13, but it's you're not going as far, obviously. But that didn't matter. You still have to make sense. This movie doesn't. This is one of the most criminal. We've set our movie in New York, even though this is the poorest excuse for New York City I've ever seen on camera. This is not even Jason Takes Manhattan levels of New York. This is he gets out of the train and the train is above ground, like even to the floor. Like, no, this isn't a subway. This is not how the subway works in New York, for one thing.
Mm.
There's a gigantic abandoned apartment store. Where exactly in Manhattan is
Oh,
this taking up real estate? Like, that's not how it
what
works.
what a setup though, right? Like the
Yeah.
idea of this big, weird, old, like antiquated, strange looking department store. Yeah, like it's supposed to give like the vibes of like the giant Bloomingdale's, like that
Sure.
has like 9 floors or something. Fantastic. But none of the execution was good at all.
No. There's some good visual things,
Yeah, I
but
agree.
it is just not, this is not good at all. It just, and I wasn't expecting it to be like, it wasn't, there's somebody, it might be Jason or Erica, there's like somebody like close to us who used to kind of defend this movie. And so I knew, I'm like, there's something here, I bet. And again, like this is more watchable than some other bad movies of the era, but it is just a waste. It is not like that. All that money could have gone to something else.
Yeah, and honestly, they some of the sets and stuff. It's like, guys, yeah, you were so close.
Yeah, you had the tools.
You had the pieces. You
Yeah,
didn't put them together.
yeah.
Yeah,
Just
it's
write a
frustrating.
script.
Yeah. Excuse me. So this is a movie I don't think you've seen because it just came out, and I don't think it's streaming anywhere because we rented it. It's Insidious 4. 4? No, 5.
No,
The
5.
Red Door.
The Red Door is, I
5.
think, part 5 because I didn't see part 4, so I don't know that I'll ever see part 5.
You don't need to see part 4 to see part 5.
Okay.
Not that like you do whatever you want with your time and your
Well, this
life.
begs the question, should I see part 5?
I loved it. Yes.
Nice.
I thought it was really great. I did not like part 4.
That's what I've heard. I've heard a lot of people that actively kind of have said like it's there's big problems with it to where I kind of figured I was done with the franchise after that, but if
Yeah.
this is kind of worth it, then
It's yes, I would say so. It's directed by Patrick Wilson, and I think it's very interesting because of that.
sure.
Also, it is like a direct continuation of the original Insidious story, which is
Okay.
Rose Byrne, Patrick Wilson, and that cute little kid.
Yes.
But now that cute little kid's an adult, dealing with some, or like adult adjacent, dealing with some shit, dealing with the death of the grandmother, which is Barbara Hershey in the original. So if you had any like, if you found any appeal in the
Sure.
first two, like in that family unit kind of thing, which I did because I liked all those people,
Yeah.
you know. This fourth one is really good. I've seen other people agree with me, but it seemed like the general consensus, like the early reviews, was that it sucked, which I just don't get.
And again, it's so fascinating what our film circles are now because it's funny too, especially in light of like the Rotten Tomatoes news that came out this week about how like a lot of reviews are bought one way or another. And if there's a negative review, it gets pushed to another site so it doesn't show up in that score. And it's so often where I know like, oh, I don't know what the general consensus is. I know what people in like I know what the people in my world's consensus is, which is often wildly different. Because I feel like with Insidious Red Door, I knew critically it wasn't say like anything, like it wasn't being bashed as like the worst movie of the year, but it wasn't being like elevated the way the first Insidious was kind of a critical hit. But I felt like with the people I knew, people were keener on it than not. Like I think what I heard a lot of was like, oh, way better than 4. But
it really was. 4 was because I liked 3 too.
3 I loved 3. I think 3 and 1 are very good.
Yeah. And so when people, obviously if 4 is not great and 5 comes out and people are like, this isn't great.
Yeah.
And it's like an actor turned director.
Sure.
It feels like you're giving me a narrative. And then when I watched it, I did not feel like that narrative was accurate.
Interesting. Very interesting.
So recommend.
Okay. I'll look out for it. Let's see. I have such a weird remaining list. All right. I'm going to talk about the next movie I'm going to talk about. I need to be very clear about something.
Okay.
I think a lot about like time travel and like warning yourself of things and stuff.
Oof, yeah.
And so I had a movie that I knew I came across on Hulu and added to my queue. And a few months go by and I'm like on Hulu. I'm like, I'm on Hulu. Let me watch something here. And I like, notice that this movie isn't in my list, but that it's like there as a recommend. I'm like, hey, I added that to my list. Oh, it must have gone off Hulu and come back on Hulu. I probably really wanted to watch it. Oh, it's short. Great. Let me just watch it now. There was a reason Emily from the future warned Emily of the present not to watch that movie. And it was because Emily didn't realize until 10 minutes into this movie when she said, what is this? What am I watching here? And I pull it up on IMDb and realize I fucking tricked myself into watching a Neil LaBute movie.
Yep.
House of Darkness.
Happens to the best of us.
Because it was one of those things where it didn't give you it just kind of the title came up, and so I didn't even know anything about it. It just had a cool cover and a good concept. I'm like, all right, cool little vampire thing. Oh, Kate Bosworth, Justin Long, I like them, great. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, this is a lot of talking by assholes. What am I getting here? And sure enough, Neil LaBute made a fucking movie with a good cover called House of Darkness. It is exactly what you think. Justin Long is basically just, like, I feel like Barbarian should kind of, like, get the residuals from this movie, because he's just doing the same exact character. It's the same exact person. He's an asshole. He has picked up Kate Bosworth at a bar, and he brings her home to her, like, sprawling mansion. And her name is Mina or Lucy, whichever one it is, because then her sister shows up, whose name is whichever one her isn't. And it's just, like, him being an asshole, and, like, and her being, like, making, snide comments that are very clearly, I'm a vampire, but I'm not saying it, but I'm totally a vampire. And at a certain point, she's a vampire. And thankfully, it's like 80 minutes long, so I appreciate that. Yeah. But I was so fucking pissed. Oh, and then that led me down a rabbit hole because I pulled up Neil LaBute's Wikipedia. And do you want to know what doesn't even get, like, a sentence in his, like, Wikipedia entry? Is The Wicker Man. It's just, like, filmography, and it shows up there. There's not, like, a paragraph about how he made what is probably considered one of the worst movies of the last 20 years. But anyway, so I have a theory that Neil LaBute is, like, constantly going into Wikipedia and editing his own thing there.
I know, third time I'm bringing it up. Things have really changed in media. Is it possible that the children don't know about the Wicker Man or about him? Is it possible that we're so far from it that no one...
I think there are people that now assume it was camp all along.
Oh,
I think that's the danger. I think that it sort of had a Room effect where he has been able to, like, skirt around the actual, like, dude, your movie is all about how much you hate women, just like everything you ever make is, to, oh man, you really let Nicolas Cage go for it, didn't you? Like, I don't think it's treated, I think people assume it was always meant to be silly. I don't think people watch it and say, this is so bad it's good. I think people just assume it was meant to be that, which is a very dangerous place to be.
Truly, it's interesting to be getting old and still kind of be very, like, dug into my interests.
Yep.
And just kind of see the landscape change around me where I'm like, wait, like, something will come out about an actor or a director and I'd be like, but we already knew that.
Obviously, yeah.
And like...
Well, like the Jimmy Fallon thing this week. Like, wait, people didn't realize he was an asshole? What?
And it's because we've been so dialed into pop culture and specifically like genre movies for so long that, like, we truly are watching things, people come and go and this ebb and flow, and people don't remember it or it's now, like you said with Wicker Man, it's morphing into a different, because that's not how it was.
No,
that was not we didn't live through that narrative, but it's now become that. So interesting and weird.
Yeah, upsetting. Dangerous.
Yes, definitely.
Very dangerous world times we're in.
It's true.
All right, give me another.
Okay, again, re-recommending something because I just want everybody to take me super seriously about it. I rewatched 2019's Spiral. I say 2019 and Spiral.
Oh my god,
because
there are 17 movies called Spiral that are horrors. You are talking about the one on Shudder that is the sort of gay haunted house, right?
Yes.
Okay.
With Jeffrey
yes, it's
Boyer
very
Chapman.
good.
Yep.
It's very good.
I rewatched it. I liked it more this time.
Nice.
So we're getting into spooky season. If you haven't checked it out yet and you have access to Shudder, do it.
Yeah, that's a good like a very good haunted house with a twist. Like
Yeah,
that's a
definitely.
special little movie that I wish it wasn't called Spiral. It's stupid. They should know better. But
I know. It's the anything else because it's tough to find. And
yeah,
then around that time period, if you're talking about it,
yep.
people immediately assume you're talking about the Book of Saw, which is also good. And I recommend.
Or you're talking about the Japanese film, or the
Yep.
one with the tall guy, and Amber Tamblyn from like
Yep.
the early 2000s.
Adam Green's Spiral. Yep.
Yes, Adam Green
Yep.
Spiral. Thank you.
Yep.
But yeah, Spirals. It's the same director, this Spiral, who did Influencer, which we both loved.
Yes,
So
that's why I rewatched it because I think I realized that, and I went, "Oh,
yeah, no, he is one to watch. Good
for
stuff.
fucking sure." It's always exciting when you see somebody and you're like, "Oh yeah, I like what you're doing, buddy.
Yep.
Keep doing it."
Let's see. Okay, my last few are pretty bad movies. Actually,
Oh no.
but like I don't know, bad in different ways. This one was a fun one, and this one I don't think was actually okay. So again, I am pretty sure this was one of the movies on my Netflix queue. I've done crazy things with my Netflix queue over the last few months, and this one must have been like long wait, so I had it at the top. I don't know why I was so invested in a 2004 Canadian sci-fi horror film called Decoys. It did have a sequel, Decoys 2, Aliens of Seduction. Decoys is sort of like a Canadian version of Species, but set in college.
Okay.
It took me a little bit to understand this movie. The concept is there are these like college freshmen who are horny wild freshmen, and there are these like two beautiful blondes who move into the dorm, and they're aliens. And they are like, kind of like seducing men and trying to impregnate them and get impregnated and all that. I'm watching this movie, I'm like, this is like inexcusable unless it's supposed to be funny. And it took me a while to decide that I think it was intended to be tongue-in-cheek.
Oh.
It's 2004, and again, you forget how different like fashion was in 2004, and there's like certain aspects of it that feel like wildly dated when you realize like, oh no, but that was me in my 20s. It's Canadian in a way that is like refreshing because it acknowledges that it's Canadian, right? Like most Canadian movies like are trying to hide and like, but in this one it's like, nope, they say a boot, they talk about being in Canada, there's jokes about being polite, like all of that stuff. I don't know, it kind of won me over as it kept going. There's weird things happening in it. The like lead actor is like, this is supposed to be like this like college freshman, and then Nicole Eggert shows up as a like much older police detective, and there's a scene where you're like, oh, they used to be a couple. Wait, what? What? Like, I'm interested, but give me more if we're going that direction. So it's very strange. I do want to see the sequel. I'm intrigued to see how much more it can go. It's a wildly wacky recommend if you are looking for an early 2000s low budget Canadian sci-fi alien boob movie. Fair amount of boobs.
Wild.
Yeah.
What a strange thing.
Oh no, this was Peacock. This wasn't Netflix. It was on Peacock.
Okay.
This one's on Peacock, but the sequel is not, unfortunately. Peacock has some shitty movies.
Peacock does. I had been, like I said, I'd really dug into Tubi, so I had really been kind of plumbing the depths lately for like, what garbage do you have that I'm interested in? I have something that wasn't garbage. Again, I don't think you've seen it because it's brand new.
Probably not.
It's Cobweb.
No, I've heard wildly. This is one that I'm hearing like either people loved it or people hated it.
All over the place, huh? Yeah. I was kind of not that interested, other than the Lizzie Kaplan thing, obviously, because it's a kid, and it seemed like in the advertising, it seemed to focus on a kid, and there's a fine line for me, like, you're putting a kid in peril, and I don't like it. Sure. It's stressing me out. Big recommend. Everything it does perfect. There is a little boy in it, and he is kind of in danger sometimes, and they're mean to him, but it's not like that. It didn't like hurt, like make me upset or anything, because everything works out. It's so spooky. It's so Halloween-y. It's so atmospheric. It's like the perfect movie to put on, like when you just want spooky energy.
That is very good to know.
I cannot wait for you to see it.
I will definitely bump it up when it makes its kind of general debut, if you will.
Yeah, I'm so curious to
Yeah, me
hear.
too. Very curious. Because
Yeah,
I just know how every side of the fence people have been on, so I'm really
yep.
curious where I'll land.
Me too. Me too. Because there's something in it I think you're gonna really like, but I can't wait.
Oh, interesting.
It's so fun to watch a movie, especially a horror movie, and like be like, oh my god, I think Emily's gonna fucking
Aww.
flip out for this. It's my favorite thing. It
Aww.
happens every once in a while, and this one had something, and I was like, oh, she's gonna like this.
Oh, that's exciting. Thank you. I feel the same way with you when I watch something. I'm like, I really can't wait for Christine to watch this.
Yeah, it's fun because and then even if you don't, if I'm wrong, and you're like, oh, I actually couldn't stand it because of this, that's great too, because I'm like, oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
It's enlightening. I think it's funny. I was listening to an interview. I listened to the Vanity Fair podcast where they it's very much the movie industry one, and they were interviewing the director of TIFF, the guy who's basically curator, in charge of the TIFF festival. And the question was, what does it take? What's an important thing, skill to have when you're doing this job? You're not a movie critic, you're not a producer, you are running a film festival. What is something that you need to be good at that people don't think about? And he had a great answer, which was, I have to think about the audience. I have to, when I'm curating, when I'm figuring out who we're going to be able to fly in and what the schedule is going to be. And he's like, I need to think about what is going to work and not necessarily please, but what are the movies that are going to get the reaction from the audience? The movies that are going to have arguments, or the ones that are going to make people feel good at midnight or at the opening. And I think it's just an interesting thing to think about. And I love that when I'm watching a movie, and this happens a lot, and I say this just isn't for me. But this, oh my gosh, I need to tell my niece to watch this because it's perfect for her. And I think I've seen that a lot lately with movies that feel geared to younger people, where there is a different I'm in a different body watching this movie, where I can say I'm not going to leave this movie and say I didn't like it. I didn't like it, but there is something here for somebody else that I want to hear what they thought about it, and if I was right about how they would take it in. And that's why we love movies.
I think so too. There's a fine line between I didn't like it and it was bad. And I think people just don't understand that because they didn't like something, it doesn't mean it's bad. I'm pretty clear when a movie's just bad, and I don't think anybody should watch it.
The Wicker Man is bad.
A lot of times, if Dismissed, you might think it was bad, but I loved it because it's not a bad movie. It wasn't constructed poorly. It wasn't written poorly. It wasn't acted poorly. But if it didn't hit for you, I get it. It's about a sexually aggressive teenage boy ruining his teacher's life. If you don't like that, I get it.
Sure.
Oh, movies.
Indeed.
What can't you do?
So I have 4 left, 3 of which I can say are just bad, and 1 of which was lots of things to talk about. So.
Oh, geez.
How many do you have left? Keep going.
I have a movie and its sequel. Do you mind if I pair them together? So they're both on Tubi, I believe. It's Horror in the High Desert and Horror in the High Desert 2 Minerva.
Okay. So, I have been excited. I loved the first one. I've been excited to watch the second one, but I'm waiting for it not to be on Tubi because I feel like that's a movie that should not have commercials.
I agree with you, but I don't know that the commercials bothered me.
Okay. So you hadn't seen the first one?
No, I hadn't. I watched them kind of back to back, in the same weekend probably. The first one I loved.
It's really good.
It's really good. The second one I liked a little less.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean anything. It's arbitrary feelings. The second one continues the mythos, continues the story, it introduces new things, and there's going to be a third one.
Good.
I cannot wait. These are up there from with Hell House LLC to me now. These serialized found footage. Oof.
And I am not a Hell House fan.
I know.
But I loved Horror in the High Desert. I think what it feels like, if you compare it to anything, it's very much in the vein of Lake Mungo. And that's part of what works so well, is that the the documentary aspect, like the interviews with the sister, are just so interesting and refreshing, and it feels like this is a real person talking about her brother and their complicated relationship. And then the brother is so like really likable, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh god, like really wishing for him. And it has some great sequences, some very kind of like, it felt a little Grave Encounters-y in terms of like some of the way the footage is. It's really effective. So the sequel is a recommend from you, but just not quite as high as the first.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was the novelty of the first one made me like so much more excited about it.
Yeah.
It's just a little issue, nothing major. Definitely worth watching, especially if you had any fun with that first one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the second one's good. Yeah, and I get what you're saying about the commercials.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh gosh. And speaking of, we watch Crooked House on the Roku channel. I'm sorry, the Roku channel should be fined for how loud their commercials are.
I don't really even use the Roku channel.
I don't think we can do it again. It was upsetting. It was like, Tubi gives you a countdown. So you grab the remote and you mute it.
They don't count down at
and
all,
I don't
right?
think they're that same volume. But your Roku, there's no warning. And it is like, I mean, you're going from a volume of whatever, let's say 5 to 50. It is like genuinely the kind of thing that like I think televisions used to get fined for doing by the FTC. Like, it is just inexcusable. I don't know that we can do it again. So yeah, but Tubi's
I get it. We've similarly. I think for us, it's more the countdown.
It's important. Yeah. It also makes it's really stressful to see the countdown, but it's good. No, but it's important. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I can say, oh, I'm gonna go now. Right. I can go refill my water. Yeah.
I wish TV would do that too, actually. All right, so I have another shitty Peacock movie. This was, I tell you, again, like we've talked about this. I like watching shitty movies sometimes. I will. Okay, good. Yeah, this doesn't look good. Good. I'm in a mood to watch it. This is 2012. Hold Your Breath. Also listed as hashtag Hold Your Breath.
Ooh.
This is very bad. A bunch of terrible like college students are driving somewhere. I don't know where they're actually driving to, but they end up stuck at a old haunted prison where the ghost of a serial killer is sort of like shockering them. Like he's able to like jump into different bodies.
I love it.
It's very bad. Katrina Bowden is in it. So like,
oh my God, no. Fully,
have you seen this?
Fully, we just scrolled past it. No, because Zach said, "Oh, is that Siri from 30 Rock?"
Siri is like a mini Scream Queen.
She is Tucker and Dale.
She's
right?
she's in a lot. She shows up in a lot of horror films. Like, and it's very strange to me because I'm like, why isn't she like? She could be like a big Scream Queen, or she could be like a Hallmark Queen. Because I think she's fine. Like, she's fine in this. Like, she's a cunt in this because all the characters are. They're all awful. This is one of those movies that doesn't give you any reason to like anybody, but yet we're supposed to not want them dead. Maybe we want them dead. I don't know. It's very unclear. It's terrible. If you're in a mood for it, it might be like scratch that itch, but it is not good at all. There's a CGI ghost fight at the end that is very like Haunted Mansion, the ride. So.
Yeah, that sounds. I'm glad. We had contemplated it, I think, but I'm glad that we passed.
Yeah.
I have a couple ones that were bad. I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, but list them out so we know not to watch them.
Let's see. Oh, I rewatched The Covenant again. I still don't like it. One day I might like it.
What's The Covenant?
The Covenant is like hot boy witches, and one of them Sebastian Stan.
That sounds sexy.
Is it
2006?
Rennie Harlan?
Yeah, it's Rennie Harlan. Oh, that sounds like it'd be fun. No?
It's not. I think this is the fifth time. This is the second time this year I've watched it.
Oh, wow. Those are some pretty boys. Taylor Kitsch, Chase Crawford.
Yep.
And Laura Ramsey, who was in The Ruins.
Yes. Yes. That was a big driving force to looking at it again, too. I'll never like it. I don't know why I keep watching it. But also a movie called Followed from 2018. It's a social media influencer kind of movie, which is why I wanted to watch it.
I've definitely put this on my queue before, and it kept jumping services.
Yeah, I think I watched it on Tubi. Mm-hmm. Now, it was okay. I didn't love it. But if you like influencer style horror, then
Which I do. Yeah, I might end up checking that out sometime.
I would recommend it. And then a movie called Hangman from 2015.
This is on Peacock.
Yeah, Peacock, Tubi, I think Roku Channel. Yeah.
Okay, any good?
This
is the Jeremy Sisto one?
This is Jeremy Sisto and Ty Simpkins, who's the little boy in Insidious. So he was in my zeitgeist, I guess. But it's one of those, like, there's somebody in your house movies, but there's one called, like, I See You or something with Helen Hunt in it. It reminded me a lot of that, but it's like where a person is in your house, not just like a home invasion, like, but they're like living among you or alongside you. I kind of always have a soft spot for that kind of movie because I think it is really disturbing.
Right, I know what you mean.
This one was just kind of it was just there.
It's the writers and director, like, I've seen other stuff of them. They did Broken and what's the other one they did? Like, Devil's Chair, that was it. Like,
yeah.
Like, stuff that I'm like, I don't think I like what you do, but it's because of the time period when, like, you had to do stuff like that. But there's skill behind it, so I'd be curious if they evolved at all over the years. I'm going to check this out one of these days.
It wasn't like bad. It just, for me, it's 2015 and it's doing something that is a trope and it didn't really do anything like really remarkable or unique with it.
Okay.
And for me, unless this is the first time I'm seeing a movie where someone breaks into your house and lives alongside you in secret, I need you to do something different because I've seen it now like 20 times.
Yep, I get it.
Yeah. So, but none of them were awful, just like meh.
Yep.
You could find something better, I think.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, speaking of a movie that was pretty awful, on Amazon has like 17 movies called The Hunt. Ooh. This is called The Hunt, but it's actually called The Seventh Hunt. So depending, either way, I wouldn't recommend watching it.
What are they doing over there?
I know. And like, I feel like it was renamed The Hunt just to get people to watch it thinking they're watching the actual movie The Hunt.
Yeah.
Like, just be like, halfway through, you're like, where's Betty Gilpin? Oh, right, no, nobody you recognize is going to be in this movie. It's an Australian movie from like 2008 that's very like Saw-ish, where it's like a bunch of rich people kidnap, they have a hunt, but it's not even a hunt. They kidnap people and they all put them in different rooms and then like kill them. And there's not really any hunt aspect to it. So right away, it's a mistitled movie. And it's very like, they talk about how like, oh, the killers, 2 of them were former victims. This is only the 7th hunt, which means at least like only 4 of their hunts have actually, like, they've killed everybody, so they're not even that good of hunters. Again, the more you think about this movie that really clearly wasn't made with a lot of thought, the more angry you'll be. So just avoid the 7th hunt. It's not very good.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't sound very good.
No, it's not.
I have one more, and it's a recommendation. It's the one I'm really excited about.
Let's hear it.
It is one of the Blumhouse movies that they made for Amazon, or that got distributed on Amazon.
Okay.
It's called The Manor.
I've seen this show up on Amazon. I think it's on my queue, but I have not watched it.
It's Axel Carolyn, I think
that's
how you say her name.
Yep.
I've never actually said it out loud. But done some work. I'm familiar with her. Mm-hmm. Saw this come up, and just on a whim, I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch this movie. Why not? It's amazing.
Really?
It's fantastic.
Ooh, it's about old people.
Yup.
You got me there.
Barbara Hershey. Holy fucking shit. You specifically. Bruce Davison is in this.
But it's Christmas. It's Christmas in Yonkers.
I've held this specifically for you the whole time.
Oh, thank you.
It's got the woman that's in the Deborah Logan movie, but I've not seen that movie. I just know it's the same woman.
Right, but Deborah Logan, it's got Deborah Logan. I don't know her name. It doesn't matter. It's Deborah Logan.
But she's very good, and it's about like a convalescence home, an old folks home.
Nice. Okay.
Barbara Hershey has like a problem. She has a health problem, so she decides now's a good time to maybe go into this setting, and so I can have people take care of me. Holy shit. It does
How
things you
exciting.
expect. It does things you don't expect. The performances are all wonderful. It's poignant and sad sometimes, but it's also kind of wild and fun. And
Ooh.
Barbara Hershey, everyone.
Barbara fucking Hershey.
So good. I gave it 4 stars. Honestly, the way that I've been thinking about it, it's probably closer to like 4.5. I over the moon for this movie.
Nice. I will definitely watch it in the next couple of weeks. How exciting.
Yay.
Oh. I'll close out with one movie that is just not a recommend. I'm pretty sure I put this on my Netflix queue and bumped it to the top, and it was a long wait, and I thought that was because it was a different movie. Because there's a lot of movies called, like we said about Spiral, there's several movies called American Nightmare, and this was one that showed up at Netflix, and I turned it on. I'm like, oh, it's a Debbie Rochon movie. That's never a good thing. I like Debbie Rochon as a person. I think she's fine. But if it's a movie that she's starring in, it's not going to be good.
It's usually an indication of maybe
A lot.
budget.
Yes, yes. And this is, I don't know what this was. It was not good at all, and then it ended. So I said, oh, okay, I guess I watched that movie. But then the last movie I watched, I kind of saved it for the end, not because it's a big recommend, but because I thought I might, if we talk a little bit about it, we might spoil things. This is one that I know you watched.
Oh.
I think you had similar feelings to me. Resurrection.
What the fuck is Resurrection?
It's with, what's her name? The actress who's in stuff. Rebecca Hall. She's a biology writer.
Oh, yeah.
And Tim Roth is after her, maybe?
Yeah.
What did you think of this movie? So Resurrection is on Shudder now. It is a very kind of serious, heavy, watch it when nobody's home and the lights are off type movie. I had a journey with this movie. Where did you land on it?
I didn't like it. Mm-hmm. But not like I'm trying to figure out what I rated it, but I can't get my phone to work. It's not that I didn't like it because it was bad. This is, again, what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad movie. I mean, fucking Rebecca Hall's in it.
My God, and she, oh God, she's so good in this.
And so Resurrection is the movie. When Resurrection was really kind of in the zeitgeist, it was a similar time when Pearl was, a movie that I have not seen.
Yeah.
Apparently Mia Goth has quite a lengthy...
A very long monologue, yeah.
Affecting monologue in it, yeah.
And this is that movie, yes.
Rebecca Hall has a monologue in Resurrection, which I thought was very good.
Yeah. That
being said, everything else just didn't work for me. I didn't get it.
So I'm going to spoil something about this movie. So if for people who haven't seen it, it's worth watching because again, it is such a good performance and it's doing things that are really unusual, that are kind of unsettling. It is something that is not a bad movie. It is just the thing that bothered me about it. Spoiler alert. It felt like this is a movie about the horrific abuse, except it's also a movie that is saying that sort of doing that thing where it's like this character is being to use the popular word in the zeitgeist, she's being gaslit by, the various men in her life and systems in her life. Mm-hmm. But then it does that thing where it's like, oh yeah, but it's all in her head. So the cop shouldn't actually do anything for her because she is crazy. That was a problem for me in this movie. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, it ends strangely. You kind of you lean back and you think about it and you think for about 5 more minutes. You're like, okay, I think I know what it was saying. And then you start Googling around. You're like, yeah, no, consensus is these things might have happened to her. We don't know for sure, but that now that her daughter's going to college, something has snapped and now she is going crazy and Tim Roth is never there. And I don't know. I don't love a movie about a woman's, that is sort of kind of very much dependent on a woman being mistreated and all the awful things that come with that. Mm-hmm. But is that then very much about oh yeah, now she's actually crazy and seeing things and nothing is happening and who knows. And I don't know, morally that bothered me a lot.
I remember having a similar feeling to it. I think too. I don't remember exactly when I watched it, but it does feel like a bit of time now. And I don't remember the specifics, which is saying something.
Mm-hmm.
Like I kind of just wanted to dump it
Like
after I
there's
was.
baby eating in this movie, essentially. And you forgot
Yeah,
that.
and I didn't care, I guess.
Mm,
I care about Rebecca Hall because Rebecca Hall demands that I care
yeah.
about her in everything she does. That's why she's so good.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. I felt for her and I wanted to see her and I wanted to be on this journey with her. It was just the story itself kept not connecting, and it's a little absurd, I think, but it's treated deadly serious.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that. Like, let it be a bit absurd because it is. Don't expect me to take this seriously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
That was what I remember.
Yeah, no. I could see that because it's treating it so. It is not treating anything as if it is not happening. So then when you realize, well, okay, now we're at the point where something ridiculous, like now Tim Roth is cutting open his belly and a baby's coming out of it. Like now I know this is in her head. But there's not that same like tonal creation getting me there. The work is in her performance more than anything
Yeah.
else.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's too much for her to carry too. Like
Yes.
it's just because, is it a long movie? I don't know why it felt long.
It's
107 minutes.
yeah. I was gonna say it's like not 2 hours, but it's not 90 minutes. Like and it feels substantial as you watch it.
Yeah, I remember it feeling longish.
Yeah.
And again, reflection on my experience with it, not necessarily the reality of the
Sure.
movie. But yeah, weird. It's cool that people responded really positively to it because it is weird and it's nice. Like, oh, people like weird cinema,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
it just wasn't like my style of weird, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was like fundamentally, I thought like the thesis of this movie is problematic for me. But
Yeah, definitely. I do remember having that feeling. I felt that way about and you just watched it, that Eva Green movie,
Nocebo.
Nocebo. I kind of felt that way
Yeah.
about that. And both of those are directed by men, right? Not to put too fine a point on it.
Yeah,
but,
Nocebo is the same guy who did something else that I can't remember, but I liked.
I
And
think, yeah, I think that back to back.
oh yeah, no. Nocebo was Lorcan Finnegan who did the V movie Vivarium.
Yep, which I loved. I really wish Nocebo worked better for me now.
I know, me too.
In hindsight.
I know. Resurrection was Andrew Siemens, who also did Five. He directed. I don't think he did anything else genre. He did Nancy Please, and I don't know what that is. And he was a writer on. Yeah, no, he's not somebody I was overly familiar with.
I think seeing those so close in proximity for me was like, oh, I should really refocus on genre movies with female creatives.
Yeah.
Not because men can't make movies. I'm at a point maybe where I don't want to see, like, I don't need to see those stories.
I don't need to see a story about a woman who is crazy.
Yeah.
And like I'm saying is crazy. I know that's not like the right term to use.
No,
but that's what these movies ultimately,
Yeah.
that's how they ultimately phrase it and feel about it. Is you can take a story about trauma and, you know, like all the various effects of that and how sometimes they do manifest into certain things. But both of those movies do feel very like, no, really don't believe women. And that's a problem.
Yeah, I get it. Like, women are also complex and can be bad and have deep
Sure.
emotional. But like, I don't, like I said, I don't know that I want really to look at those meditations when they're helmed by men.
Yeah,
Because
they don't help anything.
No, they don't, because it sadly, I think for me it did take away from like Rebecca Hall's performance.
Fair, yeah, I can see that.
Meh. It's fun to watch things though, because sometimes they hit.
Yeah, and I mean the thing about like Resurrection is and I felt stronger about this than I did about like Night House, which again is a similar movie I'll throw into that argument because it also was one that like people went crazy for and I didn't get it. And it's like that I don't know, like with Resurrection at least I had strong feelings. So I respect it for that, but it took big swings. I just don't think it was like standing in the right batter's box, if that makes sense.
I think I completely agree with you.
Yeah. Sports analogies, that's what you come here for.
Yep.
All right, on that note, I am good. Are you good?
I'm better than good.
Fantastic. We'll be back at some point in a few weeks with other stuff. We'll put that out there in the world when we know what that stuff is. I have ideas. I'm going to talk to you off mic.
Okay.
And in the meantime, buy Christine's books. Find her writing. It's amazing. ChristineMakepeace.com. She's on Bluesky and Twitter and the other places at xteen_makepeace. You can find me, Deadly Dolls, in different places and deadlydollshouse.com. I think that's everything.
Yes.
Okay then. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Isn't there something we could do to cheer ourselves up?
Hey, I know.
Let me hear some of that good time music that I love to hear. I got plenty of blues and sort of bad news, and I need to find me some cheer.
Well, there've been some times when I've been down, more so recently.
I gotta piece it back right and make a new flight.
React positively. There's no sense in walking around with your feet stuck to the ground.
It's much better to put yourself together.
Create a lot of love and good vibes.